following is a presentation of MRE Uno, Division 1.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome here to the continued coverage of T3 Movie May for the 2025 MRE Uno Tournament. We are now headed into the Sci-Fi 16 as the house lights come down, and we get set here for the Soda region, as this matchup today on an early morning is going to be Haseem versus Ed. I'm being told I'm not being heard on Discord. Ed, are you able to hear me okay? My thing's lighting up. Well, we'll try and figure out those technical difficulties here. Well, while we try to figure that out here, we'll take you through. Yeah, I hear short as well. We'll take you through the promos here as we take a look at the. Okay. Bear with us 1 second here, folks. One quick second. We'll get to all the stuff here as far as the billings and whatnot in a minute. I want to just check, make sure. Maybe it is my end. Is it working now? Ah, okay. Weird. Okay, so a little bit of a hiccup here to begin with, but hey, it's live. All right. So, as stated, we've got Ed versus Haseem here in this Sci-Fi 16 round in the Soda region, and pretty much you just have to kind of take a look at the tail of the tape to see the storyline coming into this one. For Ed, he's done fairly well here. He's been able to move on pretty easily, had a decisive victory against the number 2 seed in Vapor back in the Thriller 32, and as you can see in the round of 16, he is 2-0, so he's coming in with a lot of the momentum. But for Haseem, it's his first appearance here in the round of 16, and he has had to fight and grind to get to this point, as he's gone into a crucial Game 7 in both of his matchups so far here. Remember as well, for Haseem, he started out heading into this movie May 0-2, getting eliminated in the very first rounds of March Madness and Automotive April. So the stats would definitely be favoring Ed, but we have seen so many times here, specifically in T3. We have seen upsets, we have seen crazy gameplay, and we have seen that bot meta definitely play its part. This is one of 2 streams that you will be seeing here in this round of 16, as later on this afternoon at 5, you'll be seeing Peter taking on Gold in the popcorn region. So we are very fast approaching finding out who's going to eventually be our Elite 8, and of course those that will then make it into the quarterfinals and the finals to take this entire tournament here in Movie May. And what are we fighting for here today? We're fighting for an opportunity to see who is going to take on Abion and Tapir. That's going to be determined at another morning stream on Wednesday at 10 o'clock. And they will move on to face the winner of this one here in the Soda region in the Epic 8. Well, let's take it down here to the table, start talking with our players and getting the stage set, if you will, here for our first matchup in the Soda region here in the Sci-Fi 16. You probably heard him a little bit there as we were having those technical difficulties, but joining me on this early morning one is Short. And Short, I mean, the stats definitely look like they're favoring Ed, but when we look at the couple of matchups that Haseem has been in here, taking 4-3 victories in back-to-back appearances here in Movie May, I kind of feel like this is going to be a grind session on both ends.
No doubt about it. Good to be with you, Seth, as always. It's definitely going to be interesting because we talk about Ed last year. It was his best tournament. He finished 6th. It was the best tournament of his entire 24, and now he's looking to try and get win number 6 in this round here today. And then you're going up against Acosta, who, like a few in this round, like we just saw Pac Johnson win last night against Lane Sanders. He's on house money, and he's having the best run of his career. Just getting 2 wins in a tournament. So I think this is going to be an interesting one to see. Acosta's still a lot of time to make something of the season. He's at 2-2 in T3, and he's still got plenty of runway left to maybe make a surprise run at something. But this is it's been his best run, and he's going up against Ed, who's had his best tournament in T3 a season ago. So it'll be interesting to see which of those things breaks through. And obviously Acosta, being battle tested with those back-to-back 7s, we'll see how that applies, as well as you saw on the preview there, the CPU thinking that we're going to be going the distance to 9 games, but we haven't had one go 9 games, despite I think most of those predictions going that way, at least from the CPU is concerned. So we'll see how that plays out as well. But looking forward to this one. Back-to-back 7v14 games, when you'll see Peter v Gold coming up at 5 with the boss.
Absolutely. So if you want to take Ed on questions, I'll take Haseem. Haseem is on a delay since he is actually watching the live stream. So there is going to be, I think YouTube's got about a 10-second delay in terms of live to what's actually showing on the stream. So we'll ask the question to him first. Haseem, coming into this one, really with guns blazing, you've had an incredible run here in Movie May, taking it literally to the limit in your first 2 matchups, but a lot of times we talk about that, getting those early victories and getting them easily, sometimes it could be a blessing, sometimes it could be a curse. When you're in those grind sessions, it prepares you for all types of scenarios. And coming into this one here against Ed, do you feel that maybe the fact that you had to really struggle, had to work for those first 2 victories, it's got you ready and prepared here, advancing here into your first appearance in the round of 16?
And this one to Ed, I'll just be simple with it. You're going up against someone who's on house money, whereas you've had a little bit, and he's won back-to-back in 7, both against Logan, against Yoshi. Meanwhile, you've had a little bit of an easier time. Not to say that to discount you at all, but thoughts on going up against someone who has that kind of house money mentality, and as well as trying to. We all remember your T3 run a season ago. Getting the Edison light switch identity there as well. Just thoughts on getting that, and as well with all the parity in the league, you can be the next to join the 6-win club, which we've got plenty up there already, and plenty at 5 as well, including yourself.
Yeah, I think it's still going to be a challenge in Acosta. I mean, he's been playing very well lately. But I would say I'm ready to go. I'm ready to face him.
All right, plain and simple, Seth.
Yes, indeed, and Haseem Sain's just happy to be here. All he knows is pain and suffering in this league, so to see a best of 9 is hard enough. Now to play one for the first time is magical. Whatever happens here, it is house money,
It is
and that
house
kind of
money.
brings up a great point because you talked about it, Short, the fact that Ed had made it to, would you say, 6th place last tournament?
Yes.
So he's been...
No, last year T3. So
Oh, last year
Mastery May
T3.
last
Okay,
year.
so he's been in a
This
best
was
of
his best
9.
tournament a season ago. Yeah.
So he's been in a best of 9. He knows what to do as this thing gets further and further, maybe into those extra innings as opposed to the usual round of 7 that we see in the round of 64 and the round of 32.
Right.
This is the first time that Haseem is dipping his toe into this, so we'll have to see if we draw past that game 7 into a potential 8 or 9. You'll see if Haseem is able to continue to dial in what he's been able to find as far as that magic in the closing stages of these first 2 rounds. But as we said, best of 9, only 1 power play available for these for these players. This is going to be crucial as to when that is utilized, because we talk all about the momentum middle of the game for a best of 7. When the heck do you use it in a best of 9? That's going to be a decision they're going to have to make. Ed, of course, is the highest seed. He's going to have the home field advantage. Short's actually pulling the double duty here today as the referee as well. So I'll let you ask Ed what we're kicking this thing off with.
All right, Ed, game 1. How many cards we going with today? Old niner.
Going with 9.
Good luck, gents. Here we go.
Here we go. 9 cards start. Square root of 9 is 3, so there you go. We'll kick it off with a 3. Knight right in that middle region there. Short, normally we'll see usually some fairly good ammo distribution potentially, but we've also seen where people just get iced out and get 9 numbers, so we'll have to see what side of the spectrum is here and who might potentially be playing this first game from behind.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see. It's just how long will it take to see your first warning shot? That is the ultimate question. You see, on a high tier, it might take a little longer. On the mid tier, maybe takes a few plays, but obviously on low tier, it can be any time depending on what the hand is. But at this point, it's just like maybe you get a couple clean plays and then maybe you see something come out there. But that is an early draw from Acosta.
That's not a good sign with 9 cards if you're immediately drawing, especially since it's not your home game. We'll see sometimes an early draw on a homestand, but not away.
Yeah, that could spell trouble for Haseem here, but we'll see what comes out of it, as he's going to be freed up on this yellow switch from Ed.
Ed going into that light switching, he's really good at that. We ended up having a pretty high electrical bill in that game between him and Vapor. Light switching galore, and gotta feel Ed's gonna go back to that drawing board here as well. Continue with the aggressive light switching here in this best of 9. Iced out on the yellow is Haseem, so you gotta assume 2-color hand, and with that information, Ed's gonna be able to run quite a bit here, one would have to assume.
Yeah, definitely. And again, talking about the light switching, that's exactly what Ed kind of did to make his T3 run to finish top 10. We called him Edison Ziemba. It was yeah, I mentioned it in my question to him at the top, but yeah, that's the nickname that KT coined during that run, and it was pretty special for him. Obviously, that was the second time he's been to this point twice, so interesting to see what he'll continue to do. But here comes Acosta with a +4. It could have been maybe from the draw, unless he was trying to save that.
Maybe holding on to it here at the beginning. Saw Ed getting down there to what we call that end zone with a potential finish. Wanted to draw him back, but also, as you said, could have been one of those top deck draws. And now Ed with the light switch over into green. So right now,
back to red.
Yeah, interesting. That's interesting that Haseem doesn't want to run in green, because it kind of looked like he's pretty much red-green hand right now. So
yeah.
Interesting that he wants to establish it back to red. Maybe there's some offensive cards in red he wants to get to. See if Ed can get it off of there. Ed's obviously trying to look to get it back to yellow or blue. And he'll find it. Little double
Ooh, yeah,
play
he
there,
will.
and he'll use the KT Wild to get it back to blue.
Steals that possession arrow back from Haseem there. That +4 gave him that. Now he took it back with that double play, but he's able to play in the blue plays. Ed's blue 0.
Interesting there. I'm guessing that must have been off of one of the draws as well, because he did actually draw on blue earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, it might have been. Or it could have been from that one in yellow as well. But
That's true. Yep.
who knows? Anything can come from anywhere. And here he goes back to red again.
Yep. Gets it back to red once more. Let's see if Ed has an answer back. Or will he try to maybe, if he has red, deplete some of that also?
Ooh,
Iced.
now he draws. Ooh.
Momentum
Finally found the
shifts. He did indeed.
Now he's got that possession arrow, but he could take even more now. Could go up 2 with a play here.
We saw Haseem potentially get a top deck draw with a +4 in, I believe it was just 2 draws.
Back to green?
Okay.
Goodness. Trip 7s, buy yourself a lotto ticket. My goodness.
Haseem kind of answering back here with the light switching.
Might have been trying to pull a little green fade to throw him off the scent, but you'd think Ed might have some here, considering he wanted to go there earlier.
Yep.
Yep, in a double play. Yep. Don't blame him for that at all.
Double play, draws it back even. Possession would go to Haseem right now.
He's got it. Does have it. Now it's neck and neck. What will stall one's momentum here? Or is it just a race to the end here?
Ed able to continue to run in green as well. It's just a matter, I think, for both of them as to who ices out who in this color. Both seem to have pretty good number of green. But
Definitely.
I don't think it's all green for either side. There's got to be some other color they're going to try to get to here for a finish.
Yeah, we're getting down to 3. It's a question of,
Oh,
my goodness.
Gets to check. 2 cards added to Ed, though. That could be risky. What's the return on the other side?
I feel like Haseem might not have it if he's pulling the double play to get to check and not saving it for the end. I feel like he might need another switch.
Let's see if Ed obliges or... Yeah, there you go.
Ooh,
Boy,
yep,
that's
yep,
why
all
it's
right.
so risky playing those +2s at the end.
He might have been worried about. I mean, Ed was right in striking distance as close as he was, so he might have been. It may have been defensive to try and draw maybe a play like that out. Might have been a flush.
Now the question is on the other side, those 4 freshies. What does that give Haseem? Is Ed down into maybe that end zone territory with 3 left? Has the color established to blue? Oh, the
Back
answer
to
back.
green.
Does
Yeah.
that ice out Ed? Or did he have any green still in reserve? Oh! The number efficiency back to blue once again. And that
And now
ices
he's
out
got nothing.
Haseem.
Oh goodness.
Ed could be in the driver's seat. Does he have a finish or does he get to check? No! Double
Oh, man.
iced.
And look at that, Draw City after all that. We
My
really hadn't
goodness.
had that. It had some self draws here and there, Seth, but we haven't had a double ice moment, but we'll see how far they go into this. It might just
Absolutely.
be drawn back for a reset.
A lot of ammunition used there down the home stretch on both sides, so obviously got to be drawing back for some of that as well.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and they're both going to go back to the track.
No
Acosta
lights.
behind by a couple.
No
but-
light switching in green. Both those green 6s were utilized, so red and yellow are an option if we end up getting the right card. Still a lot of options for blue.
Definitely.
Only the 0, 3, both 6s, the 7, and the 8. So it's just a matter of when do we get to one of those cards.
Plenty of red options too. I wonder if that's what Acosta may have needed at the end there. It's just a thought. But,
Could have been
I
for
mean, it's
both
just
sides.
predictive based on the history.
Continuing to draw back. We had Ed at 3. Haseem was at check. And now we're almost back to where we started with our 9-card start here in Game 1.
Ooh. It's an interesting one for sure. Kind of getting into it was kind of plan A, kind of down for both. I mean, there were maybe 8.5, if you will, but now we're kind of going to B, C, D at this point as Ed winks with the 9 and doesn't, Ed winks with the 9, but nobody can do anything with it.
Yeah, we've definitely hit the reset button for sure. And both of these two, at least I'm going to assume that Ed's +4 was off of a draw. Both have garnered some good ammo with the early draws. I'm assuming as well that the +4 we saw Haseem play was also a top deck draw. But right now, they're not getting what they need. Ed tried to open the door there with the blue 9, but neither have been able to play off of that so far.
I wonder how much it's starting to be whether they want to make a break or not. I think it's kind of become a staring match of who wants to make the break first. I would think they would have an option to switch over that they're just trying to hold on to for the right moment.
Specifically Haseem, right? Because, you're down by, well, I was going to say down by
4,
5 cards, now make it 6
5.
as Ed's able to play. If you had the possession to be able to make the break, that's one thing, but when you're down this many cards, you don't want to open up the door for Ed.
Yeah, he's going to make a move there. Going to red.
All right, we might run in this for a while if your prediction about what Haseem had there.
There hasn't been much red play. There was only 4 red cards played until this point, so I think that we're going to be running this.
1 up from Ed. And
they're gonna run
4
it.
back down.
Self-ditto. With the ghost 1, and you gotta think, though, I mean, is that 7? Ed's just went down to 5. If you're a team, you might have to consider making some kind of play if you have one in your back pocket to try and close the deficit a little bit. He's just going to keep playing cool as long as he can. Doesn't want to give Ed too many more options, but you got to start thinking about closing that deficit because he's pretty damn close to striking distance, and he's going back to blue.
I wondered if we were going to get a light switch potentially there. I could see he had that double play. Whoa, okay.
Interesting.
Is Ed iced out? Because I almost wondered with that double play back there to the... Yeah, he's iced.
Oh,
yep.
but he pulls the wild.
He does have the wild to get it to yellow.
And he's down to 3 again. Acosta, I feel like he's got to make some kind of play here to try and slow Ed down if he's got one in his hand. Like, he's within striking distance of getting a 1-0 lead.
Ed willing to burn the wild to get to yellow almost makes me wonder what he's got left. If there might be, a reverse in there or skip to be able to get down to check, or potentially might have something else there that he was willing to use this wild for. I mean, he had a huge possession. He brought it over to blue as if he almost kind of wanted to force it into a draw city again, but then he makes the choice to break out with the yellow wild.
Yeah, interesting. Haseem really taking his time, thinking through his options here. He's 7 cards back, and he's going to pull
the
a
answer back.
+4.
That could have been.
There's that move I was talking about.
Yeah.
I feel like he needed to do that.
Smart placement of that +4. Third +4 we've seen played so far here. Two
And now
for
it's just a 1
Haseem,
to 2 cards.
and one for Ed.
Yep, and just either 1 or 2 cards behind. He's going to be 2 cards behind as Ed can play in the red. He's probably got some off that. With the sand for 6 on the board.
The question is, how many did he get if Haseem continues to run in red? Because he was iced out
Yep.
when we finished up there with red, so
Yep. At
is
least
this the
he
only red that he
signaled that
got?
way with the wild.
Yep.
Whether that was genuine or not is a whole nother question. And seem really taken. He's really been managing the pace, Seth. He's really been, taking his time, making sure he has those plays placed in the right places, and he's done pretty well with that.
Yeah,
to this point.
When we were looking at the preview and everything, we talked about that 4-3 win that he had over Yoshi. There were some mistakes in there, and he was able to overcome them. So I think, to your point, we're backing the pace down here to make sure we don't make those mistakes. I mean, it's his first appearance in the round of 16. There is no room for error.
No, not at all. I mean, obviously he's on house money, but that doesn't give you an excuse to make mistakes at all. But as Ed's going to go for yellow now.
Going into the yellow here. So one might assume that 6 there was his only red off the +4. Let's see if Haseem able to bring it back to red here at some point, or is he content to run in yellow? It's been a long time since we started this game, and it looked like at that point Haseem was running in red and yellow for his 2-color hand. Brings it back to blue.
We just crossed 15 minutes on this one with that +6.
So
that's the biggest play he's probably made. Now he's in the driver's seat for
yeah,
once.
This is interesting because it was a while since he had a +4 played against him, and we were iced out in blue. Was he keeping a bunch of blue in reserve there?
Possibly. It's very possible. I definitely think he's playing conservatively with his ammo. You can kind of tell that he's like he's trying to save what he can. I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if he had that. I mean, I don't know whether he had it for a while or he got it off a +4 or hit of the deck, but that's a big play there, and now Ed's going to answer back.
It's definitely been back and forth with both pretty much utilizing their +2s and their +4s to draw the other back rather than to have a run to the end. Oh,
Yep,
we're going to stack.
Cancel it out and close it on the red. So eye for an eye there, Seth. Not the same colors, but a +6 both ways. And now Ed's back ahead by 2 again.
And gets it back to the color he wants. Haseem wanted to get to blue. Ed wanting to get to red. He's taking a trip over to yellow as well. We're seeing a slugfest, and it's only game 1. These guys are going to be exhausted by the time we get to the latter games.
Exactly. Best of 9. First of 5 wins. See what goes down. Yeah, they're really... Acosta, I think, though, is really... I mean, we can keep talking about it all day, but he's definitely in control of the pace. And, again, taking a big moment here. And this is the kind of stuff you see out of players like Ashley, really taking their time, making sure that they have everything placed in the right place to be successful. And here comes another +2, and we're going to go a quad into green.
So we're back to green, but it's been a while since we've actually gone over to green. We've spent most of the last 5 minutes or so in red and blue with a little sprinkling of yellow. So now the question is, has Pandora's box been opened after we had the +2s, the +4s, the draw city? Is this maybe the color that both were hoping was going to get broken open to have a run?
If that is the case, Ed's behind, and that might be a tough thing. But we'll see if he's got anything else in his pocket to try and slow it down. If that's the case, but see him going for the green on a quad. I think, considering how he's played with his ammo, you got to think that he's got a clear path or a somewhat clear path. Maybe needs a switch here and there to get the job done. But he's gonna go aggressive, double play down to 4 now, and this could be his path.
Already had possession, so I would assume he doesn't have another reverse for a chain, and I almost wonder if this, well, doesn't matter. I was going to say, I wonder if this would have had him iced out on green, but now he may get some more greens here on the return of the +2, and Ed's not done. Another +2.
Oh my goodness, another one.
Bring it over to yellow.
Another +6 going to Acosta's way, and now we're looking at Ed ahead by 4.
He'll cap it.
Yeah, it's something like a Western standoff at this point. Ticking 10 paces away, and now they're turning and shooting, but they keep missing.
So you talked about plan A. I think we're to plan I, and that stack +2 might have just put us to plan J.
Yeah, plan J. You might be seeing plan K down the line. Who knows? And this is, we're over 19 minutes on this game 1, so it's definitely, if you couldn't tell, this is not coming down to what you started with. No doubt about it.
Not at all.
That's 2 + 6 play. That's 3 + 6 plays in the last few minutes here, and now Haseem's going to go with the half-off special, so it's just a matter of where that clear path is for both, because as soon as you think one of them has one, the other has an answer to shut down their run to the end here. So it's just hard to tell what they have because they keep throwing haymakers at each other.
Here's the thing I just looked at. All +2s off the board. 3 of the 4 wild +4s off the board. So
that
now, oh man, the path's probably just got to be number efficiency here, right? Because there's only one offensive card left.
Yeah, and all power cards are gone in green. You still have reverses and skips in yellow, here in yellow and also in blue, so there's that potential. And there's like one reverse in red, but red is quite juiced at this point. In terms of cards, lots of numbers played in there, so I don't know if that's going to be the blue again.
Boy.
There's still plenty of options there. There are still the reverses and skips in here, so I wouldn't be surprised if Ed might be holding on to a double finish here as we cross over 20 minutes, almost at 21 minutes in game 1. I think if you're Haseem, running out of options to slow him down. Does he have something else? And he does.
He does.
Triple the yellow.
Down to 4.
But is that good?
Well, I mean,
yep.
I was going to say, Ed swapped off. He swapped off of yellow with the blue wild, so ices him out. Ed's had 3 of the 4 regular wilds, and
Ooh, back to green.
Did he break him open maybe here, or was it blue that Ed needed all the way?
He's found the way.
He did.
I think he's finding the way.
There's still that one wild +4 out there. Ed's hoping and praying that with these draws he might be able to find it.
Haseem may have it here. Might be
he brought it back to... That is risky.
Wow.
That is very risky. That's the color Ed wanted to get to.
Yeah, but if you look at the history, he doesn't have ammo unless he's got a +4. So he's gonna be running numbers here. So that it's calculated risk from him to pull it to blue, because I mean well, actually no, I'm looking at the wrong color. That's green. But yeah, there's some left, but it's only it's only 2 reverses and a skip. So because Haseem used one of the skips, and now here he comes with signing the check at the blue 1, and now we'll see if Ed can try and maybe make a move here, as he's just a couple behind him.
You mentioned about the skip and 2 reverses. Is Ed going to have to use one of them if he has it? Maybe get to check himself? Does he have 2 of them to maybe finish this thing out with Haseem at check? He's typing. He might have a trip finish here.
Oh my goodness. Pulling the rug out.
Gonna finish
Or is
it
he?
in yellow. Yep.
No,
Oh, no!
no!
He faked me out. I thought that was the final card played.
I was thinking for a second, he only did the double. I wondered if it wasn't quite there. That's why I was like, hold your horses. But he top decks a 5 and signs the check again.
Seems
Seems
iced
still with
out.
nothing. Does Ed have some number efficiency to finish? No.
Man, oh man, oh man. All right, we're up to plan M, I think.
Maybe plan N.
We might have to go back through the alphabet again before this one's over.
No, it's like when you have sheet columns. We just go plan AA.
AA, yeah, yep.
AB, yeah.
Like stadium seating, yep.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But Ed gets that big switch back to blue, and he's again at check. Does Haseem have something, or is he still stuck? And he's got a 3, but does Ed have the win?
Yes, he does. Finishes it out in blue.
Man.
What a slugfest here, and that was just game 1.
24-19, just 41 seconds short of the board. Good
Wow.
grief.
Well, Haseem, I know you're watching. My question for you is just simple. You were in those grind fests in these first 2 games, these first 2 series of this tournament. We saw you take Ed to the limit here in this first game, answering back. He would hit you with a +4, you'd hit him with a +4, he'd hit you with +2, you'd hit him with +2. Each one of you continually answering back to what the other had. The light switching game for both was on par here. I'm kind of getting a visual of that scene from Avengers Endgame where Captain America's fighting himself. I think that's kind of what we saw right here. And fortunately, you guys weren't able to do it all day. Otherwise, Short and I probably would have to be prefacing the upcoming 5 o'clock matchup at the end of this series. But well done on that. It just kind of seemed like it came down to the end that just the ammo wasn't there and you guys were having to rely on the luck of the draw. What were you needing there? What was the color establishment you needed to close this thing out? Because it got to the point where it was very difficult to read what both of you still had left to be able to finish this game out.
Ed, I'll ask you a multi-dimensional question in a second. My first question is, what did you have when you went double into the wild here? Because you probably heard me hypothesize you probably had a double finish there. What were you down to at that point?
Yeah, after that blue wild, I just had 2 blue number cards, and I was
2
just
blue
hoping
numbers.
he would.
Okay.
I was just hoping he
think-
wouldn't be able
yeah.
to switch it off, but
Yeah, and more deeper question: thoughts on like going? Haseem definitely controlled the pace there. How did you manage that up against him, kind of going slower on the pace? Because I think he was really doing that to try and play mistake free. Because as we mentioned, he had some mistakes that he was able to find his way out of before in this tournament. Thoughts on going up against that slow pace and game 1 going almost to the longest games board there?
yeah, it doesn't really bother me. I think it's kind of nice to just kind of have an extra second while he's thinking, just to rethink my cards, maybe rethink plans and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't mind it at all.
All right.
It seems saying it was a great battle. Had only one time where he was close to a finish, but had stopped it. A lot of ammo, a lot of back and forth, and a great game 1 feeler. Yeah, that's a thing too, right?
Game.
Short. It's definitely a feeler game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen like half a series get played in this time, Seth. It really goes to show how much different strategy you see in the league across the board. Because like you look at what we've seen just in this round, like we've had like we've had almost an entire series between Myth and Toast yesterday go 28 minutes. Like it took us 24 minutes to get one game done.
Yeah.
So it's really goes to show like how different like each strategy can be from person to person. And I think yeah, I think Haseem is doing the right thing, trying to control that pace. You know, we talked about it during the game, like trying to control those mistakes, and I don't think he really made any mistakes that game. Neither did Ed. I don't. They were both just, you know, every time they were close, they just had a way to slow it down, and eventually it came down to the fact that we were starting to juice the deck, and we didn't have many options left, and that was ultimately what broke the camel's back there for Haseem. I would just say one thing before we move on was. I would ask Haseem, did you have a finish when you were at Blue 1 Uno? Did you have another blue in the back pocket there? I'd assume you did. That'd be my only question, then we can move on. I was just wondering what he had at that point.
Yeah, because it almost seemed like that was the case, or maybe he was
It
looking
felt
for
that
another
way.
color.
It felt that way.
It was tough to tell. Like for both of them when they'd get down to check, you had a feeling that maybe they were going to finish in the color they were in, but then there was also kind of that little in the back of your mind: are they looking for number efficiency for a light switch there at the close or something?
Yeah, I'll see here. I don't know if he caught me or not. I'm just gonna see how long the YouTube delay makes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, while we're waiting for him to answer that, I'm just kind of looking over the stats from that game as well, and for the most part, there's a couple of categories where it's a little lopsided, but for the most part, it's like so even. 4+2s on each side played, 31 cards drawn. I mean, it's crazy. Obviously, Ed had the advantage for the regular wilds. He had 3 to Haseem's 0, but then Haseem kind of evened that out, having 2+4s to the 1+4 that Ed had.
Even on the +2s, even on the self draws, they were both iced in similar fashions. I mean, it had early couple draws, but then once it started hitting like those later plans, like plan I, at the time we were at the end, it was they started to both draw back and forth. I don't know if he's gonna answer me or not. He may just not want to reveal. You know, it's I
Maybe,
understand
maybe.
that. So, had a
There
red
we go.
too. That you know,
Yep.
I probably should have noticed that because he did draw really quick, but I think we were just thrown by that move Ed made out after that.
Yep.
So he didn't have it.
Well, we
All right.
established he was in red and green, so yeah, not surprising it was one of those two colors there at the end. All right, well, if you've never played somebody and you're trying to figure out their play style across the table, no better way than an over 24-minute first game to kind of get a little bit of a scouting report, as we'll now get ready to head into our second game of this series. Ed, you still have the possession. Only 9 off the table. What are we looking at? Is
It is
10.
10.
Wish I had a soundboard for like reverb, make it sound spacious. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10.
It's some reverb. Yeah, exactly. That's great. Oh, here we go. And a +2 start
Wow.
in blue today on game 2.
See if Ed plays off of this here. Oh, well, okay, so there you go. This is what I was talking about at the beginning of the first game. You've got the possession, and you may not want to play off that card, so you do the early draw. That's why I kind of thought Haseem was in a bit of trouble being on the road and drawing early in that. Now let's see if Haseem maybe tries to establish something. Ed's leaving the door open.
Is indeed. I would think he's got something. He does, and he plays Ed 0.
Be hard to switch off of that. So we'll see if Ed will play it cool. Okay, well, hard to switch off of it, but it's Ed. Of course he's going to switch off of it.
Classic. How many times, Seth, do we say it's so hard to switch off zero? Now we're
We're
getting
doing it 3 times.
It's like a trigger.
Yeah, right? You say it's not going to
Uh,
happen, and they show you the other way. They say, no, 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 watch this.
exactly. Hold my beer. Watch this. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
pretty much. It's either
Yeah,
the
man, here
players or
comes
it's the
Ed. He's
bot.
gonna stick with it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's rare to see Skittles zero sugar, so we're gonna go yellow, and now Haseem's gonna try and make a move here.
Is he going maybe for a double play in yellow? Do we see him go for a color swap? Yep, double play.
Closes on the Sting 5. He's ahead by 3.
You just kind of get the sense that we're going to see maybe a little bit more of a pace pickup maybe here in this second game now, because as Haseem said, a bit of a feeler game there. Now you've got a little bit of an idea of the play style, and maybe now you're able to formulate a strategy a little bit quicker than you were back in game 1.
And no doubt we'll see as he's gonna go one up, and Ed still no answer for the yellow. We'll see if he found one. Nope, still nothing. Goodness.
And Haseem now iced out on yellow as well. So we'll go into a little bit of a draw city here.
There's Ed with a wink. The Brock one.
See if Haseem can play off of a 1. Nope, still iced out.
Wow.
Can Ed utilize his top deck with a light switch?
He's just gonna keep going with it.
Okay, so
Interesting.
he did have a yellow apparently earlier.
Now that's either he missed it in his hand or he's playing chess right now. Because it's either he didn't realize he had drawn a yellow, or he's may have been trying to take a couple extra draws to try and build his portfolio of ammo, potentially to try and set up a path. But at the same time, you do that when you're double iced, and at that point when he was drawing it first, Haseem was playing, so interesting moves there. We'll see how that turns out for him, but we're going to go blue now, and Ed nothing there either. My goodness.
I mean, you mentioned it, first 1 to 5 with this best of 9. It's not like a best of 7 where there's maybe a little bit more urgency if you're down 2-0 or down 3-0.
No.
So if you're Ed being up 1-0, does that give you maybe a little bit more freedom in your options of play here, realizing that it's not the end of the world if Haseem does manage to draw this back 1-1?
I don't know. Could be. I'm not sure here as we're going to go red, but yeah, it's definitely a different feel when you're in a best of 9, and I think, oh my goodness, to green. Buy another lotto ticket, trip 7. But
Either that or play the slots.
yeah, play the slots, yeah. Yeah, we just landed 3 sevens. That's unlikely, but no, but back to that point is on a best of 9, it's definitely a different mentality. You have a little bit of you still have urgency, but you definitely don't have as much urgency going down 2-0 and 1-1. I mean, it's still a best of 7 after that, so it's just adding a little bit more of a layer to it. But still, you still have that one power play, and we talk about how much difference like 2 power plays can bring. We've talked about that in March when we had the 2 power plays earlier on in the tournament with the major format, and how much strategy it can add to it. But still, with 1, most are still probably going to save it for a clutch point in the series, whether that be taking a lead that puts you in position to move on in the next game, or winning the series, as we're both running clean on green here.
Yeah, something I was just noticing here, we ended up having some pretty good ammunition utilized near the close of the first game as we were on that 9-card start before we eventually ended up going into the draw city. And we're getting down to that territory here again. And all we've seen so far is the reverse for a double play. We've not seen anything else in terms of offensive ammunition. Well, We need to just stop talking. We breathe it into existence. As there you go, a little double play there with the +2s and bringing it over to blue for Haseem, down to 2 cards.
We are manifesting
We
here.
are.
My goodness.
So we've got 6 fresh cards for Ed with Haseem down to 2. And Ed with the swap over into red. Is that going to ice out Haseem? Does he have a finish here, maybe? To close this thing out? Draw this series back 1-1. No immediate draw here out of Haseem, so he might have something loaded up. And he does! The double play, skip to 7, and Haseem's going to draw this series back even 1-1. Haseem, it kind of looked like outside of that little bit of a draw city, looked like you had, well, we'll call it a plan B. You went from plan A into plan B, were able to establish over to the color that you wanted, those double +2s coming in clutch. And then got lucky there on the light switch over to red to be able to close this thing out. You mentioned about that game 1 being a feeler game. Just how much more free play was it here in this second game now? Kind of getting a little bit of an idea of Ed's style of play. And, man, drawing it back here 1-1 with a quicker game, too. Obviously now, the momentum's kind of stifled out there, getting ready to head into a game 3. Are you getting yourself geared up potentially for what could be a pretty lengthy series? And I believe Short is still AFK, so Ed, I'll ask you this question. Oh, no, I guess Short is back.
I'm here, sorry.
All right.
Yeah, I just got back. Yeah, Ed, I kind of I was listening, but I didn't see the end. But I'll go back to the point we were talking about earlier, Ed. About that kind of that strat in the yellow. What were you trying? Because I don't know if it were just like maybe glossed over some yellow in your hand because you were drawing there, and then you had a couple yellows in a row. Was that just a case of maybe missing what you had, or was there some, or were you trying to kind of build to something there, and when you were stuck in the yellow there?
Yeah. So that right off the start, there I had a yellow +2, basically the entire game. I don't think I got to ever use it, but I wanted to get more ammo, so I just wanted to draw back a little bit.
That's what I figure. Fair enough. And yeah, that's really all I got at that point. Definitely less Seth plan like J.
Yes.
It was I would say we were probably at like plan C, but that definitely a lot quicker of a game, and interesting to see that. Yeah, it was all plan B. Oh wow.
Just needed many +2s, needed to dump things off, misplayed the red, got lucky. Got to steal one on the road, used a longer series over an hour than some, so nothing new. So there you go. He's buckled in. He's ready to go. And yeah, I mean, two things that he was able to kind of get a little bit of luck on was the return on the stacked +2s. Because we saw back in that first game when somebody would try that with a +4 or try with the stack +2, there was always an answer back, and then also that light switch over to red helping him to get to the end. So we haven't yet, and I know that we're talking about manifesting stuff here, Sharp, but we haven't yet seen the bot really come into play in terms of like completely turning a game into somebody's favor. It's really come down to really these players controlling their destiny with what they've been able to do with the cards played on the table.
Yeah, and those are the best games to watch, aren't they? Like they're the best games to stream because there's plenty. As we're going to go 12 here coming up in Game 3, but those are the best games to watch because there's plenty of things to talk about what the players are doing, less so than what the hands are. Like I was watching, we had the stream between Lane and Pack last night, and Pack just had a lot of strength hand. I don't know what the number was on that. I would have to ask the stats department on that, but Lane was just very frustrated because he didn't have a whole lot to work with in most of those games, but still doesn't take away from him as a player because he did the best he could in his situation. But it's this one completely different because we're more talking about what moves the players are making to try and be successful, and we'll have to see how long that's going to hold up, or do we see any pivoting from the dealer, the bot here, maybe seeing some kind of plan A at some point, because you're bound to get at least
Oh,
one
yeah.
in a series. So we'll see if we continue to talk about the players, or we're going to talk about a maybe crappy shuffle deck, to be honest. So we'll just see what goes down. But we're going to go 12 for game 3, so let's run it.
Started with an even dozen. The pendulum currently stationary as we are tied up 1-1. First homestand here for Haseem. He'll look to draw it to a lead of 2-1. Ed will look to do the same, but this time on the road. And I'm going to kick things off in the 0 of yellow. Do I manifest a light switch on a yellow again?
Dare we say it? I was gonna say. Dare we say it's very hard to switch on 0.
It's so hard to do it.
Oh goodness.
Might be a little bit of time here before we see some plays made with the highest card start that we've had so far. Starting to formulate a strategy, formulate a plan.
Yep, and Haseem having the first move, and he's going to draw. So again, the early draw has been the common theme of all 3 games now, and both are drawing.
Interesting.
Goodness. And again, Ed talked about he was trying to build ammo, so it could be a poker move for either of them to draw at this point, considering they're now at 13 cards. And they're not playing anything yet to start us off, so it's not a foregone conclusion that they don't have yellow. There's definitely there's starting to become more to this than meets the eye. I think that's something we're going to keep talking about throughout the series.
Could it also be a fact that we had that over 24-minute first game, so you start to be able to get a read on the player? We played a little clean game there in game 2, and now we're going to try to go back to the sense of mystery. Like, no. You thought you had me figured out. I'm going to draw back. I'm going to get all these cards, and I'm going to show you a different side of me now.
So now we're 2 cards behind the starting line at the sender start, 15. And early on, Seth, no matter we're talking about who wants to make the break. Who wants to make the break? Because you got to think that they have something they can play here. I think it's a matter of who feels confident in what they have to make a break ahead, without getting caught up by your opponent.
So the question here would be, if we end up seeing the break, is it going to just be on a... Okay, that answered...
There's the break.
I was going to say, is it going to be on a normal number, or are we looking for a quad or more play? And there's the answer to that there.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have thought it was a head start, but we're going to round the bags, and then we're going to stand at first base, closing on that 7, and now Ed back to 17. Asim back down to 10, and that is a big play, and I think he's really trying to snatch some momentum, right? He's trying to get a lead to try and chip away like that, because that's really what it's going to come down to, I think, unless he's got a stacked hand. One of them does. If one of them has a stacked hand, I think it's going to come down to, what we've talked about all day, grinding it out, chipping away, get little by little, getting it down to the point where you can get a victory. And Ed's going to try and cancel out those two he lost, and now he's just behind by 3.
Yeah, seem kind of playing into Ed right there with the light switch over to green, which I found interesting because he utilized the 5-bagger to get to blue and then immediately light switched over into green. So starting to kind of be aggressive here on the light switches as well. This is the first time I've seen Haseem play a game, and so I don't know if this is a new... I don't know, like maybe a new thing that he's added into his repertoire of game style with these aggressive light switches. I've seen Ed numerous times. I know he's an aficionado of the light switches, but
Yep.
we'll see so many times too. We talked about Haseem. He said he's had no luck, it seems, in these tournaments. He started out 2025 0-2, came into T3, caught fire, has grinded it out, has gotten to this point. But along that road, you got to wonder if there's been a period of adaptation and kind of noticing what some of these players have been able to do and think, you know what, let me see if that works out for me as well.
Yeah, and like we mentioned at the top, like this is his first time making it to this point in a tournament. Like he's been here a while too. Before 2024, he had never made it to this round. The best he's ever done is win a round 1 series, and those are tough to win, especially if you're like middle of the pack. But he's a little bit lower, so you still have to, you gotta start somewhere. And for him, it was against Logan, who had made a great T2 run prior, and he was able to get the job done. And obviously against Yoshi, he mentioned he had made some mistakes, but he was able to find his way through it, and again grind it out. And now he's looking to try and do it again up against Ed, who is definitely a tough opponent for sure. As we're gonna go trips 1 here into red, but it's very interesting to see what he'll do. Again, looking for a 3rd win, like we said before, and for first regional semifinal, why not a first regional final? We'll see how it all goes, but we're only at game 3, 1-1. We got a long way to go here.
And a big thing there for Haseem as well, with those 2 victories here in T3. He's going to keep himself above that cut line for regulation. He'll stay in D1, so that was huge
yeah, he
for
will
him.
stay.
So now
Yeah.
he's able to, with that confidence, kind of allow that to direct him here as he continues through Movie May. Is a little drawback there from Ed.
Yeah, and in T3, you're not really thinking about relegation. Like we try not to talk about relegation too much in T3, but if you go 0-3, you're in danger. So like to get that first win was huge. And again, I wrote it in the ping I wrote for the lounge ping for this. It's like gets a 3rd win, he's still on house money. He could make a surprise run. You never know what could happen. Ed plays a Haseem card there, and now he's going to go green. There's Seth with the green wild, and now Ed's nothing with the green, and now Haseem is running it. But again, like people can come out of nowhere. We've seen a lot of people come out of nowhere this tournament. Pac Johnson, never been to a regional final. He did it last night. And obviously Haseem's never been here, never been to a regional final. And you obviously have Gold, who, like, since 2023, hasn't really found that same kind of gameplay until this tournament. He had a very rough 2024, was able to, save him. He got a couple wins to stay out of relegation, but like he didn't like he was a tournament winner coming into that season. Like, and he wasn't able to get much going, but this is his best run probably since then. So it'll be interesting to see what he does tonight at 5:00. Looking forward to that. As Ed's gonna go yellow, and again seem iced on that. Now Ed is running with it.
Yeah, so right now it looks like Haseem's wanting to keep it in the green. Okay, gets a little top deck there. But Ed's just trying to find any place that he can to get off of that green. Now has Haseem potentially iced out here on the yellow, and we'll try and see if we can draw Haseem back. Haseem ended up establishing in green earlier, and then Ed got the light switch, hit him with the +2, and I think it gave Haseem the while to get it back to green. So you saw a little bit of a negativity on the return there if you're Ed. Now the question is number efficiency here. You gotta make the right choices, because any wrong number could break Haseem out here. Kind of searching, running down on the numbers 7 to 6 to 5. And there's the number that Haseem needed. Gets it back to green. That will potentially ice out Ed unless he's got another 5, which he does. Gets it over to blue. We haven't run in blue for a while, so let's see on these drawbacks if we've got something to play on both ends.
Excuse me, trips 5. The JT blue 5. Seen a lot of those light switches, those undercuts with the trips. Haseem still ahead by 2. We'll see what he can do in the blue here.
Taking his
After a
time
long
here, so
trip
we had to
Yeah.
reformulate our strategy. Oh, okay, maybe not.
What? Hello.
Wow.
I did not see that one.
No, I did not either. Got the light switch he needed again. Actually,
Well, again, he would have had that.
he would have had that.
4,
Yeah, I was
he
going
would
to
have had
say.
that. Like, the only thing that would have stopped him was staying in yellow. Well, it was if Ed went back to yellow.
Interesting, kind of looking at it here. Let's see, +4 into the skip. Yeah, he could have won that game 1 turn earlier. We were already in. Oh wait, no, he got the light switch there into the green. Hang on, let's see if we ended with a.
He got it into
yellow?
the green, but he would. Yeah, well, no, because that blue
the
+2
blue
was a
plus
stray.
2.
You could.
Yep, that was the kicker.
You wouldn't have been able to. You wouldn't have been able to.
Yep.
If it had stayed green, he would have had it too, because he could have gone skip +4 +2.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So it was indeed the light switch he needed to be able to chain
Yes.
that all together. He does so and doesn't have to use a power play to kind of link up that broken chain either. Haseem, another stellar showing here in this one, but it really looked like this game specifically came down to color possession. We saw you fighting to keep it in green, Ed doing everything he could to keep it off of that color. How much of what we saw there at the end was off of those couple of drawbacks, and how much were you hanging on to? Wow.
Swimming in numbers. Oh my goodness.
Holy cow.
Goodness me. Look at those hands. Good golly.
That's nuts. That's all green. That is
Yeah, and then look at Ed. Look at Ed's.
mostly yellow
This
and
was
blue.
a little
Oh
bit
my
after the start.
gracious.
So Haseem's was from the top, and then Ed was after we had a few plays back and forth. But that's definitely tough.
That's nuts.
Yeah, so that was after they had drawn back at the start, because you can see at the bottom of his screenshot that 14 cards were already discarded. So, oh my goodness, no top decks. No top decks. That's absurd.
That's nuts. The thing that's crazy about it too, you look at what he had in green, no dittos.
Good God.
Wow. Well, now
So
we
you
know
really
why
think
he
about
was
it, I mean, it's
fighting.
a long game, but
Yeah.
he had a stacked hand.
Now we know why
in a
he was
sense.
fighting so hard to get it back to the green. Made a lot of sense there. But Haseem, you're
Swimming
now
in
up
numbers.
2-0. You were able to find the color needed to be able to get that chain together. You still have that power play available. We did have a wild and a +4 saved as well.
Jesus.
So I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you've got this momentum, a win on the road, a win at home. Now you're gonna have home field advantage here in the upcoming game 4. But as we kind of established here in these first 2 games, and we saw it obviously here in game 3 as well, you guys are having to establish your own destiny. It's really coming down to the decisions of the cards you play. We've yet to really see the bot come into play, so I don't know. As I'm seeing Ed posting a swimmer here, do we start to hear the Jaws music? Is there a shark fin maybe there in the background in the form of the bot looming and closing in?
And we going back to Aquatic April with these references.
Oh,
God. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Ed, I don't even know there, man. That's just like you were swimming in numbers, but like you made it look real. You made it close. You gotta give yourself credit for that, even though he had a lot of the options in green there. But you did a great job of like trying to fight that off. Was that were you able to kind of tell that, you know, that was kind of his path forward, going for that green and You just had a lot of answers to try and slow him down as much as you could, but ultimately the dam broke against him.
Yeah, I was just trying to hold him off with colors that he might not have, but could only go for so long.
Was there anything more you could have done to hold him off, or were you doing all you could?
I mean, I did switch to blue. I guess I could have switched to red, but
Oh,
it wasn't looking good.
all right, fair enough.
Not sure if
But yeah,
Haseem got my question or not, but remember too that these guys were drawing at the initial start as well.
yeah,
So that kind of
they
makes
built up a little extra ammo,
yeah,
probably.
definitely did. Well, I don't know if Haseem got the question or not, but we're definitely gonna find out the answer here as we'll start to tread into the middle portions of this series, getting ready now for Game 4. Haseem up 2-1. Ed looking to draw it back even. So far, a win on the road, a win at home for Haseem. Ed looking for a 1-1 in terms of away and home games here as well. Let's see what Haseem's going to go for here for game number 4.
No 10 or 12 for him. We'll see what he wants for game 4. Probably thinking about that, honestly. Oh, in regards to the series, keep putting foot to the floor. Fair enough. Yeah, that's all you could really do when you're in house money. You gotta just keep going with it, and we're gonna stay high tier here.
14. All right.
Cars.
14 cars. That's a small field.
Chew.
Unless you're at one of those like quarter-mile short tracks, then that's a full
Right.
field. I would love 14 cars.
14 cars.
All right, kicking things off in red. Red skip. See if Haseem just closes that off here. I mean, the last time we ended up having an ammo card begin, we started with some draws. So let's see if with this homestand, if Haseem does the same or if he plays into this.
And again, he's taking his time here, almost a minute. And that's the kind of pace we see from players like the world champ Ashley. There's plenty of people that, take that minute, think about what your best path forward is down to each card. It's all like there are many different ways each card play can make, and here we go.
And people might not think so, but taking your time can be used both offensively and defensively. Because on the offensively, of course, you're weighing all your choices, but on the defensive side, you wait that little extra time, and while somebody is thinking, this is exactly the card I'm going to play here, that little extra time, then they think, wait, do I want to do that? So, it can actually work.
Slow the momentum.
Yeah.
Slow the momentum too. There's no doubt. Yeah, you could definitely, if you got someone sprinting down the line trying to beat you out, the pace can definitely help try and slow down the momentum. And again, like you said, kind of maybe make a second guess of it, as we're gonna go green now.
Light switch into green.
First
Haseem
switch
with
of the game.
Yep.
Seem looking to try and take a commanding 3-1 lead. We'll still be 2 wins away, but 3-1 lead would be huge, and as the arrow will go back to Ed in game 5. And here he comes.
Around this point, being up 2-1, if we were in a best of 7, this is when we would maybe start to see players think about that power play to go up 3-1. Yeah. Do we entertain that idea here in a best of 9, or are we holding on to it maybe for when we start getting into 4-win, of course, 5-win territory?
I don't know. I think it's an interesting question. And I think it's going to come down to what these players really value. Um, to like they really want to have more control at taking, because some players will just like you'll have a Lane Sanders who will play game one because it gets you a win, and I mean it's still a win. It's a good power play if it leads to a win in most cases. But and some people take a commanding lead, like in a best of seven. Some people will power play to take a 3-1 because that's a big difference from a 2-2. And some people on the flip side will take a power play to tie it at 2 in a best of 7. But in a best of 9, it's definitely a different mentality because you have to get to 5. So you wonder whether that will be saved, or do you think it comes sooner? I think it's just going to come down to what they value most. Whether it be taking a little bit more of a stranglehold lead like Haseem could do here, or is it tying the series as Ed's lost 2 in a row after winning the first game in a almost board length game.
And at this point in time as well, these first 3 games, we've seen more the players in control of what's happening than the bot. If the bot starts interfering, that also could maybe be where we start to see the power play come into play, either on the offensive or the defensive side. I mean, consider the fact here that Haseem goes up 3-1, and Ed sees that the bot is starting to really favor Haseem. He might have to use the power play defensively. I think right now, I think both would be comfortable to preserve the power play because they're basically in the driver's seat of what's occurring here. But if that starts to change, if the control starts getting taken away from them, that might be when the power play has to be used to change things up.
Definitely so. I mean, it can either boost your momentum or it can kill the other's momentum. Just a matter of who gets in that position to make it be successful. And that's what I always say when we talk power play lock, which we may entertain that idea later on, depending on what they want to do with the power play. Like, everybody says power play lock, you have a power play and you're 1 win away, but you still have to put yourself in position to be successful. You have to be at a point where you can win the game or come damn close to it, because it's not a guarantee if you have a power play, because I mean, like I said, we haven't had much bot interference, we haven't had much stacked hands either way. Maybe a little bit for Haseem in that game 3, but even then it was still pretty competitive. And Ed made it that way. He's going to make a +6. But again, it's like it ultimately comes down to putting yourself in a position to be successful with the power play. And it's never a guarantee, because I mean, obviously there can be mistakes, or it can be used defensively. So and he's going to go wild, goodness.
Wild into red, down to 3.
Down to 3 and a +6 over to Acosta. So again, to kind of close the loop on my point, it's just you have to be in a position to make it work in order for it to be valuable. It's not a free pass to a win. It can chain things together. It can slow someone down. There's lots of ways to use it, and that's why it's such a great thing, a great addition that we've made to the game in this league.
It makes it so much more crucial, I would say, in a best of 9 than even in a best of 7, because with more potential games, more potential shifts of momentum, and the power play can definitely counter that.
Man.
Speaking of a counter,
wow,
a wild for a while. We've seen that a lot here in T3, specifically in the round of 64.
Lots of eye for an eye here. We kind of saw that in game 2, eye for an eye. We saw +6s back and forth, and now we see a little bit of wild back and forth. And Haseem's just gonna run it, and we'll see if Ed can try and get a quick switch back to his path. He's gonna go yellow, unless he faked that wild so hard, he still needs a switch to red.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting if that was a fade. I would
There's I
doubt
don't
it.
I don't when you're that close, I don't see using a wild for a fade
No.
like that. That's got to be a crazy play if that is the case for Ed. Oh goodness. There's a triple.
Little answer
Just a
back
+2
there.
though.
And that's something we've seen here too, specifically back in game one, has been the return on the +2s and the +4s has kind of come back to bite both of them. And we saw it right here with Ed playing that stacked +2. He ended up getting iced out. I would be shocked if that green wild we saw Haseem play was not on the return there. And now the answer back here from Haseem. Let's see if that gives Ed any ammunition to work with.
No doubt, and that red is what he wanted with that wild. So definitely not a total fake out, but we'll see if those last 4 cards are all what he needs, or does he need another color potentially after that +2?
Currently firmly in possession right now is Ed. Haseem now draws back double the cards of Ed. Oh, iced out.
Ooh.
So that might have been that DJ might have been the last card for him to finish it out. His only red. And
Very possible, but again, he had 3, so I think he may have even needed another color at that point.
That's true,
which is
too.
interesting to use a wild that close and still need another way through. It would, like, for it to not be a clear path is a tough. I think it's a tough decision, but also may have been trying to slow Haseem down, working from behind. But yeah, that's an interesting revelation.
I wonder if I might have missed it, but I wonder if, like, earlier on in this game, if Haseem might have been pretty well established in yellow, and so the choice to go to red was to make
Might have
sure
been
he
an
didn't
ISO.
open up the door there for, yeah, might have been going for an ISO as well. Yep.
Yeah, potentially. One down there from Ed. We're going to the blue. Brad Deuce on the board, so again, we'll see if this is the key he has, but Haseem's going to go back to the yellow.
Yeah, I was going to say, how long are we going to run in blue, because we were iced out in a draw city in the middle portion of this game, so not surprised to see the light switch here.
Does Ed have yellow to try and take the possession arrow? Or is he still stuck there? Oh, wait a minute. Hold your horses here. Is this just a double, or does he have something here? He's down to 4.
He only played the 1 card, so he may have a 4-card finish here.
It's very possible. I think he might. He may be. He's typing a minute. I think it's very possible.
I feel like this is a close. He played the 1 card to get the 4-card command in, maybe to end this thing out. Question is, what does he end with? What did he get on that return, on that draw? Maybe held off a card here for a chain. To draw it back 2-2, make it even.
He's really taking a moment to type this. I feel like he's got to have a 4-bagger to finish, or well, it started 1 bag. Wow, faking us all out.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Was that to potentially draw out a power play?
It is possible.
I mean, I know it's very early on still here in the series, but hey, you take your time here. You make it seem like it faked us
Yeah, you
out.
never know.
Is that
You
like
never know.
making Haseem think, ooh, do I want to use the power play here and make sure that he doesn't draw this series back even?
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind that kind of play, that kind of strat from Ed, but and if I were in Haseem's shoes, I wouldn't, because I mean, it's only 2-2.
Yeah.
It would still be a best of 5 going forward. So I think, I mean, if you were trying to make it for the win in the series, or going to a 4th win, then maybe I'd consider it. But again, you only have 1, and that's when I go back to the point we talk about how when we see later in the tournament 2 power plays, where you might consider using one of them in that situation, but when you only got 1 and you still have a lot of Uno to be played, I don't think you would ever I would never consider making a move like that. If it was just for a win, so what? It's 2-2 back. It's a best of 5 series going forward. Both have to win 3 at that point, but instead we're gonna go into the draw city on Haseem's own yellow 9. So bit of a reset there, and I think Ed was definitely trying to draw something out of Haseem there with that long type. There's no way he was typing that long just to play one card. It just was typing that long. I wonder if maybe the only other thing I could think of was he was thinking about which number to play, but again, they're drawing, so he couldn't have had too many options.
I mean, we've seen these two tremendous back and forth answer for answer, so you gotta gain the mental advantage some way somehow. It'd be interesting to maybe kind of see if I don't know if Ed would reveal that secret, but we certainly will have to ask him about that if he was maybe fishing for that power play there.
It definitely seemed that way.
It definitely did, yeah.
I mean, what else could he? What else was? What I don't know. What else you could possibly like? What other goal that could there have been? Because if you were thinking about it, you wouldn't have been typing for that long. I
Yeah.
genuinely think he was trying to draw something out of him.
Well, we were iced out in yellow. Now we go to the blue. I was going to say we were iced out in this earlier. It looks like Ed's going to be the first one iced out. See if Haseem's able to run any longer, or will he also be iced out here? Or maybe have a light switch. Nope, he'll continue to run a little bit. So right now, yellow bad, potentially blue bad. So we're looking at the
Blue
breakout.
bad.
We're looking at those breakout colors of red and
Yellow
green.
bad, blue bad. Yes.
There's the red.
Red good.
Red good. Das ist good.
Oh goodness.
We're down into that end zone territory, but ammunition cards have been used. I don't know if we've got anything left for a chain. Obviously, we saw Ed running with numbers there in yellow. Didn't see any double plays or anything there. Haseem hasn't played an offensive card in a while, so don't know what he might have gotten on the return of the draws. I gotta wonder as well, with that light switch off of blue, did Haseem still have blue? Or did this light switch favor him?
Half off
He'll run.
special. Half off special. Come and get it. Team down to the Zach Deuce, and Ed's still with a mere lead, and now we're starting to hit that crescendo point again. But do we see Ed find a clear path, or does he need another way through? Does he need another door to be opened?
Ed one away from check. Haseem with 4 cards. Does he have anything to draw even or bring Ed back from the brink of check? These two have been so good with the light switches down in the close.
Oh, wait a minute. Ooh.
Going for
So-
a doubles. Wait, would that be a trip
He missed the
skip
double.
into a draw?
I'm not sure which one it was saying you can't play this card to. I'm gonna guess there was a spacing error somewhere, because if you look there between the red and the blue,
he's missing
skip,
another and sign.
I know, but he would. But if I think there was also a spacing problem there somewhere, because the red skip didn't get played either.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He only drew. No cards were played in that scenario. So now, but he's got a chance to try and rectify it, because Ed doesn't have anything, and he's going to go back to drawing. So interesting. Well, one of those cards he has, because it said you can't play this card here, but it only set it to 1. So I wonder if he just has the 1 blue skip. Interesting stuff here. But again, I guess it wouldn't have chained together, so I'm very confused here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of having us and Ed probably guessing as to what the cards are now.
Yeah, and at this point, you really can't just think of the first thing that comes to mind with them, because they've been playing chess all day.
They have.
There could be so many layers to any damn thing that happens on the table at this point.
Ed's gonna use a top deck wild to bring it to green. Haseem will play into it. Ed at 3 cards here. to
Is
get
that
the
it?
color he needed? Yes, he
Yes.
did.
Wow.
Double
2-2.
reverse to finish out in blue. And yes, draws the series even at 2-2. Second longest game of the day. Not quite up to the near
24
25
game
minutes we
one,
had
no.
there in game one, but definitely established itself at least as the second longest. And again, comes down to the number efficiency, and maybe this time, the thing is, it's not necessarily been like lopsided ammo. The bot has
No.
played a small part in this game in terms of the top decks, but it's not been anything that's been egregious that has completely turned a game on its head.
Crazy control from Ed saying he was holding on to those reverses for a bit as well.
Oh,
So ammo
interesting.
control, I think, because it also brings up the point that ammo control has been a dominating factor for both. They are both playing very conservative with their ammo, trying not to saving them for the right points, and again, Ed able to save the spot, and Seam has done that in his 2 wins as well.
Yeah, Haseem, it was looking like maybe you were getting ready to potentially get down there towards the end, maybe get to a check there. I want to go back to that play we had where it said you couldn't play the card. It looked like you were going for a trip skip into a draw. Can you tell us exactly what cards you were trying to play there? Was it indeed red skip to double blue skip, or was there a card that you didn't have that you were trying to play? Because that would have brought him down to what at that point, even with the draw?
I didn't see the table. I don't know if I had the table still up on this point. Where am I at? That would have brought. So he drew. So that would have brought him to. It would brought him to 1, but he would have drawn. So he would have been at 2, I believe.
Okay.
Because he drew, and then he was at 5. So he was at 4. He wanted to do a triple, bring him down to 1, and then draw would put him at 2. Yeah, I got the math right.
Yeah, I think he's getting ready to tell us here. Ed said he had the green reverse from the
Well,
start.
there was a double and missed. Yeah, green reverse from the start, blue reverse can draw a little later. Trying to think of something to say to Ed here, because yeah, I guess I don't know what to say here. Seth, if you can think of something for Ed, go ahead. I'm struggling here.
I'm looking right now. You said you had the green reverse at the start, Ed, and I'm looking back right now. I was trying to see where we were in green. You used a wild to get it. Or, I'm sorry, no, that was actually a scene that did that there. You had the blue +2 into a green +2, where you could have maybe chained that green reverse onto there. Looking a little bit earlier on here where you guys were in green as well, where maybe you could have used it to establish possession. We talk a lot about the patience factor, and a lot of times you end up seeing those skips and those reverses, and the initial gut thought is to play it in the early going, but to hold onto it for so long in this game, establish that patience, and obviously it worked out for you to be able to then chain the double reverse to close the thing out. How difficult is that, especially when you're playing from behind? I know it was only a 2-1, but still, you kind of every game matters, and so you definitely don't want to see yourself going into a 3-1 disadvantage. How difficult is it to establish that kind of a patience mentality, realizing that, hey, it could help me now, but boy, it could really help me later?
Yeah, certainly I was tempted to use it earlier, but once again, kind of like last game, um, I had a lot of numbers. So I was like, well, if I can save this reverse, maybe as we played down to some lower numbers, he might give me some cards off a +2 or +4 where I can kind of build that ammo up. So it just kind of worked out where I just saved it. There was a while where I just couldn't use it, and yeah, it really helped me out there in the end.
And then Haseem saying tried to go for the big play to isolate, had an issue on the typing, lesson learned, been a long hour. This will be a drag out fight. And I'm kind of looking back here real quickly, short as well. It looked like he was trying to get it over to blue, which was one of the 2 colors that Ed needed anyway. I'm not saying that Ed would have still closed the game
That's
out,
hindsight.
but yeah, but it at least would have potentially put us into at least a somewhat similar scenario with what cards Ed had in his hand. He definitely was going to be able to run in blue and may not have had to use that wild to get it over into green. So it at least did, in hindsight, it did actually cause Ed to have to burn a wild. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely in hindsight that, yeah, who knows what we could have seen had that play worked for him, but ultimately with that, I mean, that's really like the first like error you could say he's really committed, or either really committed. They've both been playing stellar.
they have. They have indeed. All right. Well, now we've drawn it back even. Now we start to get into that territory where momentum is going to be key. You go up 3-2. You're only a couple wins away from taking this series. So this is the rubber match of the best of 5. Home game advantage goes back to Ed. Ed, no 9, no 14. What are we looking at here? Going 11. So we've stayed, aside from that 14 cards in the last game, we've really kind of stayed in that upper mid tier.
Another power card start.
Wow. We've had what? +2, skip, and now reverse, I believe, in 3 of these 5 games. I have a laugh track?
What?
I've not seen this
What?
before. Hang on. What?
What? What? What?
Oh man.
Okay.
What?
Okay. Huh. Look, Mom, I'm famous.
What?
They made a laugh track after me.
That's wild.
Wow.
That's wild.
All right. We begin in blue. We got iced out in blue back in the last game. Let's see how long we run in this color here to kick off game 5.
One down now. Retro 8. And again, mid-tier. Be a couple turns before we see some fire, and we'll see how long it takes them to make a move.
It's been a steady progression, right? We run in the color for a
Yeah.
while, then there's the immediate light switch, and we light switch for a while, and then the ammo comes out.
Yeah, the first, like in some series we talk about how it's like ammo's big move, but really it's coming down to the first like big light switch, and I think probably should have expected that from both players. Definitely, playing it for Acosta, playing the endurance game. I mean, you remember that long series he had against Ard. I think it was nearly 2 hours last year. I can't remember which tournament it was, but that was a long, like, it was a, we both, me and Ard both described it. It was a war. It was an absolute all-out war out there of endurance in the trenches. And again, it doesn't surprise me to see Acosta playing this way, going over an hour. And he said it himself before this game started. He's comfortable with this. He's fine with that pace, and I think even Ed's comfortable with it. So he said that as well. So it's definitely they're both feeling good in this situation. There's nobody really trying to push the pace at all. They're both playing into it, and that's definitely not more of a rarity. You see it a lot more in D1 maybe, but definitely it's definitely one of the rarer ways to play it.
Ed established the light switch there with the double skip from blue to red, then got iced out on red. Now finds his way to green, but Haseem gonna bring it back to blue. So is Ed stuck right now with a 2-color hand and potentially yellow and green, or does he have more blue to play? He is iced out in blue. And Haseem will continue to be able to run in said color. So now if you're Ed, you're looking to find some number efficiency to light switch back over. Or maybe hope for something on the top deck. The top deck's been very kind so far to both players. He finds a path back. Well, actually, no, he draws. He found a path back, but he found it to red, which was the other color he was iced out in. Interesting, he decides to use those two reverses now instead of holding on to them. We talked about he held on to that green reverse the whole game back in Game 4.
Definitely. But Ed's just got that double draw and Haseem able to go with it, so he's still in the driver's seat at this point.
See if Ed's going to have to draw again. Does he have a 3 to light switch it? He'd be looking to get back to either green or yellow. And for Haseem, how much is he whittling down his blue and his red where he could take advantage if indeed there is a light switch over to one of those two colors?
Ed now taking the big pause
Yeah.
here. Like I said, we've seen him play into the pace, but I mean, I think Haseem's probably taken more of the pauses like this than Ed has, and big move here, and he does to yellow.
I've been weighing the choices of do I continue to draw or do I gamble with the light switch? He goes with the light switch. Let's see what Haseem can do now in yellow. Oh, he'll bring it to green.
Forget the yellow.
Yeah. Well, Ed should be able to run in green. I believe he's currently in green and yellow with his hand. Haseem down to 3 cards, and so there is the +2 to draw him back. And that just completely shifted the board now, with Ed taking the 3 to 5 card advantage. Haseem plays it cool. Ed down to 3.
Just playing it cool. It's neck and neck. Ed
Ice
draws.
Out.
Ooh.
So he's only got yellow. He has to only have yellow. He's got no red. He's got no blue. He's iced out in the green. He utilized the 3 to get over to yellow. Haseem took him back. Whoa, okay.
He's content.
Yeah.
They've been content with drawing this whole time. Like, and he's content to draw back right with them and try and make a run back at it again.
There's no way that both of them are both in yellow. I mean, obviously with this drawback now, they probably have another card. Okay, so Haseem gets a top deck.
Yeah, they're probably drawing other things for sure.
Yeah. Ed iced out. Does Haseem have a potential light switch here? Only 2 7s have been played. The other one in red. No, we're still iced. Started with 11 cards here in this game. Do we get back to that territory? Nope, there's the breakout. Haseem into the blue. Ed was iced out on blue earlier, but obviously with those multiple draws, now he's got some of that color to play. Saw both get down close to that final territory there, and we saw a +2 from Ed, nothing from Haseem. So now the question is, what kind of ammunition have we potentially drawn here? Oh, wow.
Oh, there it went. I was like, wait a minute.
So this might be interesting. This, I think, could be the Pandora's box open, because I think this might have been a color both of them needed there at the close. Definitely Ed did. That was, I think, the only color he had
Yeah,
left.
I think that was pretty clear to me.
Question is, does Haseem also run in yellow here, or does he try and draw away from that color once again? He'll play into it. Haseem with the possession advantage. 3 to Ed's 6. Ed, now in the color he wants. Does he have something to load up here?
He's again typing. Oh, there it went. I was like, table button didn't work for a second for me. But there it went.
Only played
I've
3
really
cards
taken
in
this
the
moment.
yellow, so there could be a lot of options here.
Could he be loading up for a finish? I don't think so, but
With
yeah, that was
6,
just a double.
yeah, double play.
And again, I think, these long typing moments for these kind of only just a single or a double, I think, again, it's just trying to play mistake free, take that time to think about. I mean, maybe drawing that power play, but also, well, you can't, it couldn't in that situation because he hadn't played a card yet. But, making sure that you get those chains right so you don't have a mistake like Acosta had with that
Yep.
triple draw didn't go through because he missed an and there. You got to make sure you're mistake free. And I had that happen in my round 1 game in D2 against Clint Green, of all people. I almost lost on a Clint play. I was facing elimination in a game 5, and I had top deck something, had a 4 chain to the finish, and I blew it. But I was able to bail out and moved on. But that's besides the point. But you got my point. My point being, you got to make sure that you type it all right because it can be very case sensitive.
Yes, definitely can. And we've seen games, even series, won or lost on one pivotal mistake in the case of typing something out just wrong. I mean, even in that case, too, maybe you are able to, like as you said, be able to have the mistake but still be able to win the game. But what you're also doing, in a sense, is you're exposing your hand. You're showing what you've potentially got, and that's information you don't want the opponent to know, because that just helps them out to be able to formulate a strategy. They may have a plan, and all of a sudden they see what you've got in your hand. It's like, oh, hang on, let me dial it back and do something a little bit different here. Exactly.
Yeah, they can defend easy with that.
Ed having to make some decisions here now. Haseem down to 2. Ammo has been rather meager here in this game 5.
Quite meager. Nothing crazy to see here. Haseem is down to 2 at this point. So Ed, I think. Oh, wait a minute. Hold the phone.
Is this a finish, or is this just to draw him back and establish possession? Let's see.
It is establishing, but he's still at 2.
Yep. At 2, 4 freshies for Haseem.
That's where you can be more comfortable using that +4 when you're within like those single digits, those mere cards to the end, where you're giving him more options, but he didn't have a lot to begin with, so kind of flips the scoreboard as well. So it's definitely a point where you think it's okay to use a +4, especially when both these guys are definitely in the mindset of being conservative with the ammo, saving it for the right points. We've seen it throughout the series, and we're seeing it again in Game 5.
It's also very interesting. You go back about 4 minutes ago, and Haseem made the initial change over to red. Ed answered back and brought it to yellow. He uses this wild +4 to bring it back to red now.
Interesting indeed.
And anything you can do, I can do as well.
Eye for an eye again. Goodness.
Brings it back to blue, and Ed will do the swap off of the yellow. Or off the 0, I should say. If I don't sound surprised, it's because I'm not surprised. They've done it twice already here in this series. Yeah, exactly.
Doing it all day. Wouldn't be surprised if we see another 0. Do we even have any more zeros?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, 2 more, but we're gonna stay yellow, and team's gonna take a shot.
Double play down
Down
to
to 2
2.
again. He's at dose again. What does Ed have on the back end? He's
Answer's
got
back.
another eye for an eye. Goodness.
Gracious. Can you imagine if there was a +4 in return for a +4 and then a yellow +2 in return for a yellow +2? That just sums up what this series has been.
Goodness, swing for a swing. They both even each other on those draw plays.
You remember Wii Tennis, where you'd have those 2 front players that would just keep hitting back and forth, back and forth? That's what I'm getting a visual of right now.
Just go back and forth.
It's 2 guys in the back for each team, nothing to do but watch.
Oh yeah, I know. I got this.
There it is. Perfect. Exactly what I'm talking about. Dead on what I'm talking about here. It's exactly what we're having take place. And not just in this game, it's been the whole series.
Literally. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you see the guy at the top of the. Oh, wait a minute! Wait, hold it! Whoa!
Power play by Haseem to go up 3-2.
He's not gonna call. Oh wow! And he has the Uno call
He's
as well.
he's got the Uno call. Just needed that chain to link together his 2 greens with the +4. 3-2 advantage here for Haseem. Gonna have to win the next 2 to take this series without the aid of a power play.
Goodness! Wow.
All right, Haseem, you're a power play down.
Woo.
Next to well, oh man, but now you don't have that power play to call on. Talk me through the mentality there to use the power play here, take the 3-2 advantage. You needed it to chain the completion in green. Was this more so to make sure you had the advantage going into this 6th game, or was it maybe to also make sure, just in case Ed was considering the power play, to maybe counter that here?
One moment, I'm just responding to something. Okay. Ed, for you here, you got talking about the tennis cliche, but thoughts on that? It's just so even back and forth. You each had like an answer for each other on all those ammo plays, but ultimately Haseem, again, the dam kind of broke for him there, and he had the power play. But thoughts on having that kind of back and forth like that, and also now you may be down in the series, but he used his power play on that, and he still has to win 2 more games, and you still got one in your pocket. How do you work with, what's the mindset having that power play still in hand, and also going into the next game, and also just kind of that back and forth? I think that's just kind of been that's just kind of how the series has been this entire way.
Yeah, that was a fun back and forth. We are just firing right back at each other, just like tennis, as mentioned. But
Oh my god!
ultimately, he had that last
Oh
+4, yeah,
okay,
which really
that's
helped him
tough
out.
luck. That's tough luck.
Yeah.
Good God.
2 +4s off of the +4 plate.
That it's
wow.
like, what can you do in that? What can you do there?
You can't. But again, we've seen this the entirety of this series, the return on the +2s and the +4s, and that's the risk that you kind of take here. But with the 2 of them being so even, as we've said, you kind of almost willing to take that risk, thinking that, hey, if they answer back, then I'll have an answer back, then they'll have an answer back, and we'll just continue this this series of countering each other. If he had to do it again, Samus blew off the start, had to do it again and work around all the numbers again. Yeah. Each time I dropped the 2 cards, always had a +2, it seems. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I feel like for if you're Ed or if you're Haseem, when there is that +2 when you're down to check, you shouldn't be surprised because they've had that answer back each one of these moments. But we will have to see if Ed's able to answer back here just on playstyle alone, or will he maybe have to call upon a power play to draw this thing back even? And this has been an incredible series we've been in, folks. We're getting ready to head into Game 6, 3-2. We had a long first game that pretty much established what kind of a series we were going to be in. It has been answered back, and this is a 7-14 matchup. Just take a quick look here at what's coming up today. Another 7-14 matchup in the popcorn region. So I would say, I don't know, in that case, maybe get 2 or 3 buckets of popcorn, because it might be a long one for that if we're establishing what a 7-4 matchup is going to be here on this Monday. We may be in for 2 really good double headers here, as this first one has met up to the billing and is only about halfway done. So, now, believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think
it's still
Ed. Yep.
Yeah, it's still Ed. Ed, you can't pick 9 or 14 for Game 6. He's gonna keep it mid-tier, I think. But still, I mean, mid-tier, high-tier, whatever it be, it's still gonna get dragged out. That's been every game.
I will be shocked if we go down into low tier. I don't think we're gonna see a 5. I don't think we're gonna see a 6. I would be shocked if we even see a 7 unless they run out of options up there in that mid tier. I think we're gonna stay in this area the entire series. I'm. It's weird to say, but I'd be shocked if we go into a full send here. We saw 14 cards, but I'd be shocked if we go into a full send. I think they're just so comfortable around this mid tier.
And mid-tier, a little bit high. We saw the 14. Again, they can make it as long as they want. It really doesn't matter. Like, they could probably make a 7-card start long. Like, yeah. They could do. I mean, obviously, you start to take it. The bot may come more into it, which I think is why they're probably going to avoid it. But goodness,
Ed immediately with the light switch off of the original red 7. And Haseem will play the yellow 0. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when we light switch off the 0. No, we're not going to this time. So Haseem up 3-2. Power play advantage to Ed. And Ed with the light switch again, this time into the green. This is looking very plan A right now for Ed with the possession advantage, and it'd be huge for him if he's able to draw this even and still have the power play intact, because we start getting closer and closer towards the end. If we start getting into that Game 9 territory and that power play is still on the table, that's massive.
massive indeed. But yeah, this is just saying, this is a classic endurance war from. I mean, like I said, I mentioned that game with Ard, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should have advised not to have scheduled a D2 stream at noon Eastern, because that's gonna probably get delayed or not happen. Yeah, because well, the unfortunate thing is I work today and I fit the stream behind it. And, unfortunately, if we go, I'm not trying to tell these guys to rush or nothing, but it may just end up happening that way, because I only have so much time to start too late. But here's a triple. Let's stop talking about logistics and turn our attention back to this.
Trips play +4 into the blue. Ed with 4 fresh. It's interesting, I noticed him playing that red 7 just before that +4 he was hit with. Okay, there's the answer back. with the +2, but he could have dittoed off the initial start, but he elected not to. Went with the light switch and held on to that red 7 that helped him be able to then light switch it back to red before we've now moved over into blue. Ed only with the +2 answer for the +4, so possession right now in favor of Haseem.
Not even close. It's definitely getting there though. On the length, I'd have to look at the database. It'll be on the board, no doubt, but there's still a lot of games ahead of it.
Yeah, at least 2 guaranteed games, including this one if Haseem ends up winning.
Yeah, like our longest D1 series time was an hour longer than what we have right now. So, but it's definitely starting to break like top 50. It's going to be breaking top 50 at the very least at the end of this one. But as you go longer, the amount of series at length just gets lower and lower in frequency. So we'll see how much longer this goes. And obviously, I think you're probably going to see it hit high, considering what we had, considering how this series has gone. We're only in game 6, and nobody's really in a position to win the series yet.
Nope, not yet. As Ed trying to draw it at least a little closer there with the double play. Haseem made the swap over to red with the wild. Could he have a finish with 3 cards here? Yes, he does!
Wow.
Red
Hello.
+2 uses the +4 to link over to green, and now Haseem Acosta finds himself 1 game shy of winning this
Fastest
series.
game of the series.
It was, you're right.
Not ideal, says Ed, but I mean, look at these stats. I mean, the biggest disparity has been the +4s for Haseem. The +2s have been dead even, which is not something we see a whole lot. And I mean, you have a little advantage on the skips, a little for Haseem, a little advantage on the Ed, little advantage on the wilds for Ed, but I think those +4s are probably standing pretty tall. But the fact that it's been this competitive, despite that disparity, like it just shows how good both these players have been playing on the table.
And with those +4s, as you said, kind of being a bit of a glaring statistic there in terms of Haseem having 7 to Ed's 2. That kind of leads me to my question here, Haseem. Those 2 +4s, were they both off the draw? Did you get one of them maybe on the return of Ed's +2? Where were those +4s in relation to this game? Because obviously you were able to use one to draw Ed back, and then you were able to use the other one to close out the game.
It went 5 minutes, but there were just so few. But I think, yeah, that was basically plan A, seen with the 2 +4s. Switch to yellow.
And I think he had 2 +4s at the close of the second game, too. Our 2 shortest games have really been, it's been the +4s that have, in a sense, halted the game sooner than a lot of the other ones here in this series.
Goodness. Yeah, Ed, I'm not sure here. I mean, he had those +4s, but again, like, I think with how you guys have been playing each other, you've both been able to like really make it look more competitive than it is. Like I just mentioned the stats, like you're down 5 in the +4 category, but yet every game has seemed even apart from this one. And now you're facing elimination. I don't know if there's anything you could have really done differently in that game, if there is anything in it, but I mean, just thoughts on this one. And now the arrow's going to go back to Haseem for a possible elimination game here.
Yeah, I don't know what else I could have done there, but well, I got that power play in my pocket. Working from behind now, and well, it's gonna be tough, but I've done it before.
It does indeed have that power play. Nice to have that lifeline. Haseem said he had the 1+4. The +2 gave him a wild and a wild +4. He got lucky there, and that's been one of the running themes here has been the return on the offensive cards. We've seen the back and forth. We saw a +4 for a +4. We've seen a +2 for a +2 back in that 5th game. And it's the risk that you run here. When you hit those cards, you know that there may be something on the backside that's going to maybe backlash you. And unfortunately, that was the case there for Ed. But down 4-2, going into Game 7, he's got the power play here, Ed said. They're short. So, he's definitely not out of it yet. But
No.
are you looking more for, kind of the same deal that what Haseem had here? Maybe the bot to help you on the return for ammunition, just win this next game straight up, still keep that power play to maybe draw this thing even, go into a Game 9? Or if the situation is there where you're able to need that broken link welded with the power play to bring it back 4-3, do you have to jump on that here and now? Because you said this is a potential elimination game.
Yep. Yeah, I think at this point for Ed, I think you have to if you have an opportunity presenting itself, because I mean a power play can be a lot of things, like I've said many times today. Like it can be defensive, it can be offensive. And one of the thing that Ed needs it to be is a momentum shifter. He needs, because you can sometimes use it to shift momentum when you feel like it's slipping away from you. He's lost 2 in a row. He's lost 4 of his last 5 in this series. So the ultimate goal for him, I think, is to try and find a way to set it up. If he has the opportunity, and he's going to have options here, because we're going to go 13 from Haseem here. But I think for him, what he wants to see is a power play. If it gets him a win, it might swing the momentum his direction, but he's still going to be playing on the road facing elimination even if he wins. But then the gloves are going to be off, and it's all going to come down to the cards at that point. So I think if you have an opportunity, take it, but it definitely wouldn't hurt if you can win. As many wins as you can get without the gloves on will help, because if you can push it to 4-4 still with the power play, and like I said with the lock, it's not a foregone conclusion, but it is definitely a big chip to have in your corner.
Well, Ed said he's no stranger playing from behind. He's also no stranger to the round of 16. He is 2-0 in the appearances he's made here. And we'll see if he can get back into this here, draw it up to 4-3. Haseem looking to close this thing out, as he called for 13 cards to kick this thing off. We'll start with the Aria 1 in green.
Ed looking to try and come back and be the, let me count that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He'll become the 9th player in this season to reach 6 true wins. Obviously, there's a couple at the top, Yepes and KT, with those DQ wins. So technically, they have 7, but 6 true wins. So and he hasn't had a DQ, so he's looking for a 6 win, be the 9th player to make that. And again, I was talking with KT about this before his game against Avion. He's felt a little bit more comfortability with how this tournament's been going in terms of making Super League. With all the parity there's been, you could definitely think that 7, 8, 9 wins can definitely get you there to Super League, as opposed to maybe pushing double digits. It could definitely get you in a good position. And obviously, this was a KT who won a tournament last year to lock himself in, first chance he got, and this year he hasn't done that. But he said it himself to me, like, the parity has just been crazy, and because all these guys are getting wins, the Super League race is kind of opening up to a little bit less of a win count than what we saw a season ago. And like the top player right now is at Nick, and wins is at 8 wins. And he'll be playing in this round against Monkey, which the funny thing was, because of the fact that he had kind of that tournament win hangover loss in T2, he's playing starting on the road against Monkey, yet he's still got the most true wins in the league by far.
Wow. Yeah, you talk about that parity, and it kind of brings me back to Automotive April, where there were a lot of your big name players that had done
Mhm.
so well back in March Madness, and they were out in the
Yeah.
first round. And we've seen a little bit more establishment of those players
Yeah.
here in movie May. Not to say we haven't had the upsets though as
Yeah.
well. As you say,
Yeah.
parity has been huge the
Yeah.
entirety of 2025.
Like, look at the popcorn region, like what we're gonna see later tonight. The popcorn region is like completely like what names you saw be successful in 2023. Peter Onjak, Varigold, Sean Ard. Stanford made Super League last year. He had success last year, but he's been here since then, right? So that those entire final is going to be two guys that have been here since before 2024, and that's really that is a spitting example of the parity we've had, because Art has had trouble this season and most of last season. Gold didn't really find anything other than saving himself from relegation last year, and now here they are back in the Sweet 16. And then obviously Peter, who has had some good wins, but had been looking for that breakthrough. He's at 4 wins, looking for a 5th tonight. So they're like that parity. Starting to see some of the original OG faces in the league start to make a rise. As here comes Ed with Wild, but again, like all that parity. Like Acosta's been here a while as well. Pac's been here a while. Myth. Like there are a lot of faces that are kind of showing up that you wouldn't have expected to see. I mean, like we saw Logan make a run in T2, and then Acosta sent him home early. So the parity is just insane to see as we have a double there from Ed, but it's crazy to see it go down. And I think like KT told me, like the line is lowering, the bar is lowering to make it, and I think I think that's why maybe not thinking so much about winning a tournament or going deep in a tournament, unless you're in Acosta's stance where you're at 2 wins in T3. But like if you're at a good sizable 5, 6, 7 wins, you're feeling pretty good because you still got plenty more Uno to play to try and solidify yourself. So it's definitely, the parity is definitely like lowering the line. Not to say that it's easier to earn it, but still, I mean, more people are out here trying to earn it from way back, like Acosta in a 2-2. I mean, who knows what he could do if you can pull this off today.
Absolutely. I mean, right now, Ed has established color control pretty much the entirety of this. He's had the light switches into the green, now into the yellow, down to 4 cards. And with what we were talking about there too, I remember KT and I had a conversation where the experience gap has closed up so much here in D1 as well, and that's why we're seeing so much parity. We see these ranking numbers when we begin moving May, and that's all they are. It's just numbers. It doesn't exactly play into the experience level of everybody. You'll see people with the veteran, with the novice, with the rookie experience. I mean,
Right.
go back to Automotive April, the run that Gone had in rookie class. Like,
Yeah.
gracious, some of the names he was going up against and defeating.
Yeah.
The experience gap, it's not widened. It's actually narrowed now.
Yes. And I had mentioned this during Gone's run. Like this was like I think it was this tournament of the previous was like one of his best in D2 last season. That was which played a huge part in him getting to D1 himself. So and to think, whoa, hello,
shot across the bow.
Yeah, but again on Gone, it was like he didn't look that impressive in T1, and so to see him make that kind of run in T2 was pretty surprising.
Yeah, background looked pretty established back in Automotive April as well. So those that were able to jump from D2 into D1 got their feet wet a little bit there in March Madness, but then definitely showed out in Automotive April and continuing to just try to establish themselves here and make deep runs. As now Haseem oh my gosh.
Oh my god. You cannot be serious.
Oh my gracious. An answer back for an answer back for an answer back for an answer back.
Eye for an eye.
Absurd.
Wow. I don't know. Would we, in movie terms, would we call that a rerun?
Rewind.
Yeah. Let's play that again.
And TV terms is an instant replay. Let's see it again.
Exactly. Man.
Take a look at that play again here, and goodness.
So Ed now with that answer back of the +4 has possession. Again, on the road, but has the power play if necessary. Down 4-2.
Unfortunately, I had mentioned that D2 stream. They have just started running it non-stream, but that is going, and I'm pretty sure they played 2 games in the time that this game has been going.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
Nope. But I'll make mention of the fact that we will have that game coming up later at 5 here in D1, but then after that at 7:30 we will have a big game in D2 where it's a winning into the LCQ post playoff field between Taco and Arnhem in that same region that the game we were supposed to have it here at the top of the hour play streamed.
So a lot on the line in that one, you're saying.
Yeah, a lot on the line. Yeah, five wins is crucial in getting the LC. It's basically not in place of a T5 and D2. There are 2 spots at stake at the very least. In D2 championship in that sense. Something I'm finding for myself. But
Hello.
Ed's
Ed,
taking the gloves off.
He
and
is indeed.
This is like I said at the top, Seth. He's wanting to he's trying to get he's trying to steal momentum.
If you have the path, you got to take it, and he's going to.
Oh yeah, no, it auto draws. Yeah.
And there's the close. Closes it out in red. Power play utilized 4-3. Ed trying to draw this thing back even, force a game 9. But he's going to have to do it. They're both going to have to do it to draw even or take the series without the power play. So we got to that point here, Short, right around that late mid portion of this series where the power plays are utilized, and now kind of what we saw in the first 3 games, that's what they're going to have to call on to be able to close this thing out.
Yep. It's all going to come down to the cards.
Well, Haseem, you've got the power play flushed out. You're up 4-3. You guys had that incredible match back in the first game that went 24 minutes. And then, for the most part, you look at Game 3, you look at Game 4. That was where it came down again, where the two of you just mimicked each other, whether it was the light switches, whether it was the answer backs on the ammunition with the +2s and the +4s. It's been a slugfest up to this point. With having the power play out of the picture now, though, does the confidence level stay the same? Does it rise a little bit here, being still on that match point going into Game 8, or are you not shy of entertaining the fact that this could very well go into that final rubber match Game 9?
Yeah, Ed, I think you said you had to grab that win, and I kind of said it at the top. Was that power play basic? An effort to try and swing momentum back your way, to try and get back on your feet and try and extend it another game there. That's basically what I saw it as there.
Yeah, I think I just had to grab that game while I'm behind. But still some work to do here without the power play now.
Yeah.
So, but we're both without the power play now, so it's gonna be a little more even.
Yeah, and it's been even on the table too, just having those shots back and forth. And now you're what is your mindset going in now? You don't have that power play now. You've used it, and you've had these kind of back and forth type moments happen here all series with the +4s and the +2s. Just How do you keep yourself composed when you see that you make that kind of move, or your opponent makes that kind of move, and having that in the back pockets also speaks to ammo control as well, pretty damn well.
Yeah, just gotta play it smart here. Working from behind, but still gotta stay calm as well, even if I'm behind. So just gonna keep carrying on.
No doubt.
It's interesting when we
Let's
look
see
at
what
this here
Haseem says
too
here.
short that both of these power plays have been utilized when they're at a possession deficit on the road. Haseem using it in an away game in Game 6, and then Ed using it in an away game here in Game 7.
No doubt, no doubt. But Ed's going to be on the road one more time. If he does force a Game 9, it'll be his call. But we'll see what Haseem wants to do for a game number 8. Again, looking to try and advance to his first regional final in his first opportunity. So this is a big moment for him
First
again.
appearance.
And Haseem trying to go for a yellow-green. Yeah.
Almost had it. So he flushed it a little bit.
Yep. Straight run to the finish. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what it is for both sides. Oh, boy. All right. Well, it's going to be the final homestand here for Haseem. Let's see what he decides to go with here. Trying to close out this series. Ed trying to draw it even, force a pivotal Game 9. And we're going to go to 14 cards. So we have, it'll be the second time we run in 14. Our first 14 card start was our second longest game of the series.
And of course, our longest game of the series was 9. It makes so much sense.
It does, right? Yeah. And we talk about the parody of the tournament. How about the parody of the bot? No.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah. And again, I mean, it's the bot, and also just how these guys are going. Like, they've both been, playing evenly. They've both been playing conservative, pace management, whatever, all the terms, and that's really why. I mean, it doesn't really matter what the length is, what the card start is. It's going to ultimately come down to who makes the right moves in the end. As Haseem, of course, going to take the patented 40 to 60 second moment here to play his first, and he's off and running on the green 9. And
50% of our card starts so far have been action cards.
Yeah.
So green will be the
and
color we start in here. And again, if you're just joining us, the running script, if you will, has been we whittle down with number efficiency and light switches, and then we get to the ammunition. So we'll see if we continue that. And obviously we can't see what's in each one of these hands, but you have to think that for Ed to be able to draw this back even, since there's no power play available on either side, the ammo has got to tilt in his favor here, because if it's on the other side, he's going to have to be working from behind, not just in terms of the series total, but also in terms of this hand.
Definitely.
Ooh, an early double play here from Haseem. Maybe trying to put the foot down on the gas here, try and establish some early possession and force maybe for Ed to use some ammunition. Ed's not going to play into that, though. Little ditto play. We've seen them hold on to those +2s and +4s for later on in the game, and we've seen the return hurt them. I don't know what the return was on that +2, but we'll have to see if that might be something in hindsight that Ed's going to be able to use to his advantage. But Haseem with the light switch now into the red. Might have been a double to get finished with green, maybe there for Haseem. So he might be iced out on green, something that Ed can use for later on.
and we're gonna be over 90 minutes on this one, so it keeps climbing the longest series board. Where at this point, in terms of both divisions, we're gonna break top 20, and Acosta has done. He's broken the top 20 twice. He had a game against Yepes in 2023, a play-in best of 5 that went an hour and a half. And then last year in March round 1 against Fitzwater, Acosta, that was the third longest series in history, going 2 hours 17 minutes. I don't know if we're gonna quite make that mark, but we'll definitely break the top 20. As number 20 is an hour 33 minutes, which was that Acosta Yepes game. And then, ironically, tied for that mark is Yepes versus Ed from 2024 Aquatic April round 1.
Wow.
And that was a 7-game series.
Yeah, we'd have to average about 23 minutes for these last 2 games to be able to eclipse that 2 hours 17 minutes you're talking about here.
Which the most hilarious part about it is it's obvious. It's honestly possible.
It is. It definitely is. With what we've seen, nothing would surprise me here in this series.
Yeah.
Haseem with the red reverse into the yellow wild, so doesn't hold on to that reverse, depletes potentially his red. So now that's 2 colors he could be iced out in here. So now we'll run in yellow.
That D2 game is already in a game 5.
Wow.
It could be over
how long
before
it take for
we're
us
done
to
with
get to
this
game 5
particular
here?
game.
What's that, 40,
a
50?
lot longer.
About an hour and 15 minutes before we got the conclusion of game 5? Yeah.
Good lord.
Oh, wow. Haseem is iced out on blue. So, from what I was reading there, he's iced out on blue, he's iced out on red, iced out on green.
Wow.
And now having to draw back, and Ed looking to bring this even. If Ed's got the ammo cards here, this could be exactly what he needs to draw this series back even, force it into a game 9.
Oh, hold the phone.
Is this a finish with 7?
I don't think so.
I
Just
I
how
don't
the
think
series
so
is gone.
either, but
It's a leverage play. Big one.
big one for sure. Stacks the +2s. Ed now at 3. Haseem thrown back
At
to
12.
12.
Oh man. I think Haseem's probably got to have an answer.
Well, we've seen this entire series, when there's been a shot back. What did Haseem get on the return potentially here? Haseem weighing his options.
Now it's in game 6.
Are they in a best of 7 over there in D2?
Yeah, best of 7. It's
Okay.
round 2. Yeah, they're basically around behind at this point. But it's first to 4 today. We'll again, mentioned it. We'll have a stream at 7:30 tonight after the Peter Gold game at 5 today, and then there will be a few more streams later down the line coming up. Tomorrow at 4, and Thursday at 4, and at 7 on Thursday. So, but we're that this game in particular between Joao and Cages is the halfway point of the round. So, starting to set some things up there. But we'll have one of those in the drought region of meteorological May. That Joao and Cages game, the stream at 7:30 tonight, will have the other game in that pod between Taco and Artem. The winner will get the winner of that one that's playing right now, and it's going to game 7. I see it.
Hey, you talk about Arndt, he'll be joining KT in tonight's 5 o'clock stream in the popcorn region
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Peter
Art will be in the booth
Jack
there. Yeah, I'll.
taking on Gold.
Yeah, similar sounding names. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's just say that entire 6 games in that series has lasted as long as one game in this series. 23-12 on that series.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just a lot different. And I mean, I've had. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh.
+4. Oh.
There's the answer back.
Yep. But like I said, like I was saying though, like doing these streams, it's like you can get a lot of whiplash yourself if you do a double header, because there'll be some nights where I'll do 2 in a night, right? And the first one will be like a quick pace, like fast, action-packed crack show. And then the second one will be a series like this. Although here comes Ed with like slow and more meticulous and controlled, conservative, and it just feels like you're hitting a ton of bricks. not to say anything bad about how these players are playing. They're playing really well, but still, like for a host, it can feel like a ton of bricks going from something fast to something slow, and then it feels like you're not keeping up if it's a reverse of that, where it goes from slow to quick.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's just based off of the situation, and we talk about even in series sometimes there'll be so much parity that no 2 games are alike. You can have one that's gone in the blink of an eye, and then you end up having the 20-minute endurance game the following. And to your point, even in the terms of one series to another, completely different, as Haseem with an answer back there. So erasing the +4 was Ed. He then gave 2 extra cards over to Haseem. Haseem says, all right, 2 for you, and he erases that +2.
Goodness, it's just been eye for an eye the whole way. Like, it's just crazy, man.
Ed now into green. Haseem was iced out beginning of this game on 3 colors, was down to just yellow, so with getting hit with the stacked +2s and then with another +2, he must have some options in color, but now we're starting to get into that territory, kind of similar to what we saw back in the first game, where the ammo will start getting depleted, and we're going to start getting down to light switches, as there you see there,
Wow.
going back into the yellow.
Another undercut.
And ices out Ed.
Ices out Ed, and now he's still working from behind, but he is closing in.
It's a must-win game for Ed to draw this series even. It's not a must-win, but certainly would love to win game for Haseem to be able to take the series.
Absolutely.
But I don't know. Do you? I would think that if you're Haseem, maybe smart to treat this as a must-win game, even though you've got that 9th game still.
Well, you don't want to let him back in the game.
Exactly. That's the thing, right?
Like what did we talk about momentum before? Like Ed making that power play. Like we said that it's a momentum play. He said it himself. He's trying to swing the pendulum back his way. Haseem doesn't want it to swing too far away from him, because, if you get a game 9, Ed's gonna have all the momentum. He's gonna have all for the game. He's gonna have possession arrow to start, but here comes Haseem with a triple. But you don't want a game 9. You can still. It's the same situation for you, but now everyone's facing elimination. So and you were up 4-2, so you don't want that to happen. And now Ed is going to counter that triple with a +4, and we might be getting a little bit of a reset again.
We're in the soda region. The soda's been bubbling. There's been a guy over in the corner with a handful of Mentos, and he's been waiting. Ed brings it back to blue. 4 freshies for Haseem. Just seems like whenever either one of these two end up getting onto the brink, getting into that end zone that we call it, down to those final 3, 4, maybe 5 cards. We've seen finishes even with 6 or 7 sometimes here in movie May, they just get brought back again with the +2s and the +4s. I'm trying to remember back, and I think maybe 3 times so far in this series, and that's it, where we've seen a +2 or a +4 utilized as a finish. For the most part, they've been used defensively to draw somebody back.
Well, here's Acosta with a green wild. Ed's gonna go. Meanwhile, we have a 3-1 comeback from Joao. He has won the series in 7, and
Whoa.
that entire series is played in the time we played 2 games.
Wow.
Yeah, I just messaged KT's like, yeah, we got another classic Acosta endurance battle. Told me classic. Oh wait, Ed! Oh, he's gonna.
Oh, he took it! He got the +4 at the end!
Whoa!
Wow. Was that 3 +4s there for Ed and none for Haseem, I think? That's exactly what he needed. That was
Job's not
exactly
finished, he says.
he
Oh
needed.
boy.
He needed the ammo to be able to establish the momentum to draw this to a game 9. And here we go. As if what we saw back in that first game, as if we weren't getting game 9 vibes.
Oh yeah, it just felt that way, didn't it?
Yeah.
But, I mean, Haseem could have easily had it. I mean, and not to say he did something wrong. It's just that, like, you know, fate.
Yep, just depends on how the cards fall. Haseem, I mean, we're going into game 9. You said you were ready for an endurance battle. We're definitely getting that here. You know, Short, we were bouncing around the thought of treating this game. It wasn't must win, but treating it as must win, not allowing Ed to be able to climb back into this thing. You ended up earlier on in this game hitting with an early green +2, and I wondered if that might be just a little bit early to play that with what we've seen on the return on both sides with the +2s and the +4s. But what do you have there towards the end to maybe have a finish, or was it kind of similar to what we had back? I think it was in game 3 where you had the advantage on the +4s. This time it was on the other side of the table.
Ed, big win for you. My question at this point is kind of I think from my perspective that power play was the real momentum shifter. But what would you credit this forward momentum, being down 4-2, facing elimination, and now for a third game coming up, but facing it without him facing it in the last 2? What would you credit your momentum swinging back your direction and being able to win 2 in a row to force a game 9 here?
Yeah, I think that power play was really the start of that momentum. Last game I was feeling pretty confident, had that 1 +4 off the start, got the +4 later, off cards that he gave me, I think from his +4 actually. So the momentum is, I'm liking where the momentum's heading. So hey, game 9, I'm ready.
Oh yeah, and he will have the call shortly once we hear from Haseem here.
Yeah, that game 8.
It's a big thing.
From what we just heard there from Ed, sounds an awful lot like what Haseem had back in Game 6 when he got hit with the +4. He got a +4 and a wild on the return, so kind of pretty similar here. He ended up giving the +4 via a +4 to Ed.
Man, just crazy how these draws have been going, and we're at now an hour 43, so we're pushing. Hour 43. So we're now pushing top 15 series of in length.
Haseem says, mindset going to game 9, simple. Long series so far. Been here now 3 state series where it went full distance. Can't complain either way. Whatever happens here, put in the work, showed his fight. Never easy in this league, that's for sure. Haseem's kind of getting... it's kind of giving me vibes of what was happening with me back in March Madness. It seemed like every series I was in, we were going into that final game 7. So, yeah.
And I mean, he's done it first two rounds as well.
Yeah.
What more could you expect?
He's been in the trenches. He's seen it go to the end here. In the first 2 series here in Movie May, Let's see if that has girded him up here in preparation for this pivotal game 9. You mentioned it short. Final homestand, rubber match decided with Ed having the call.
Ed, no 13, no 14, and no 9. What'll it be for game 9? And what? I had it pre-typed. I
Yep.
knew it was coming.
Okay.
Here we go. One more game to decide it.
Full send, 15 cards.
It's only right. Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah, absolutely. With what we've had here today, I mean, we've dipped our toe in the high tier water there with 14 a couple of times, but you gotta full send it here in this final game 9. Winner will move on to the round of 8 here in the Soda region.
What we're calling the Epic 8 this tournament.
Winner's going to end up getting the winner of Abiyan and Tapir. That's going to be determined in another early morning stream, 10 a.m. on Wednesday. An 8-4 seed battle there.
Yep. And Abiyan just pulling off the big upset of KT last round, and that's where kind of those conversations from. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, and obviously that a lot of implications to that one, because I mean from that game, because Abiyan unfortunately had those issues last tournament playing that game, and the bracket maker of named Charles Sanford made it so it made the bracket to the point where that was what he and KT made it to the point where that's, I don't think on purpose, but made it to the point where that round 2 game could happen again, and it did, and Abiyan was able to get it done. Of course, bot issues a little bit, throwing the boss off a little bit on that one, so looking again in T4, but Abiyan with a big opportunity to knock off 2 legends in back-to-back rounds. Here coming up on Wednesday morning against Tapir.
Had a trips
should be
8
fun.
from the yellow to the blue to the green. Light switch off of the 5 from the green to the red. Yeah, just, we showed that bracket at the beginning of this, and the only one back in the Thriller 32, at least for this section of the Soda region, that as far as the seeding was the favorite that moved on was Tapir. Every other one was an upset, an 8-1 upset with Abiyan, a 7-2 upset with Ed, and then a 14-11 upset with Haseem.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, the only chalk regional there are only 2 regional semifinals where the favorite seeds, if you will, have moved on or have made it to that point. One of which was Myth against Toast last night or yesterday afternoon, late afternoon, and then Monkey and Nick to end the round on Wednesday night. So those are the only 2 where you have like that was a 1 versus 4 for Myth and Toast in Slushy region, and then in the Candy region 2 versus 3 with Monkey and Nick. There's been an upset maker in every other game.
Wow.
In every other game this round, like Sanford and Ard 8v13. Lane was the other favorite, 3 seed, but it was against a 15 and Mac, and he was able to get it done. And you have these back-to-back 7v14s today.
Yep.
Brad and Brock. Brad's a legend, but he's a 9 seed. 9v12 and Brock, 2 Super League players from last year, but they've fallen on some hard times this year. And then obviously Tapir being another one, technically one of the favorites, not going up against the 1 seed. And then obviously Monkey and Nick being one of 2 between top 4 seeds in a region.
Well, the light switching is hot and heavy. Haseem with the swap into red and answer back to blue by Ed. Then back to green via Haseem. Back to blue for Ed. Back to red for Haseem. We are all over the place here in the middle portion of these hands.
Haseem up by 2. We're getting into such good conversations. I feel like we're on a podcast, not commentating the game.
It does feel like a podcast. It's certainly the length of one, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is the length of the one. You're so right. Yeah,
I should have opened it up. Welcome to the.
Recently.
I should have been like, welcome to the Ed versus Haseem podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need an episode of Wild Card with Seth Cole. I think we need to make that happen. Yeah,
Ed
like
with
me
the
and KT went
+2 into
3 hours the
draw.
last episode of the podcast. So I mean, who knows what you and KT could cook? In
Oh,
the next
gracious.
one. Imagine a round one. Imagine a round one recap, round two preview with you two on the mic, man. Good
Oy.
God.
So a +2 into a draw here by Ed, iced out in red, but he wanted to at least bring Haseem back
Ooh,
even
blue.
with him. Gets the bailout. Haseem's got the possession right now by 1.
Goodness. Goes back to yellow.
Into the yellow. This is
Haven't seen it since the start.
This is reminding me of the Ed Vapor game, where I pity the person that had to pay that electric bill with all the light switching that took place in that series.
Yeah, and it's apparently where the laugh track was born, evidently.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
Yeah, but it's neck and neck again. Haseem with the mere possession arrow now. Again, we've seen so many of these runs like this, Seth, where it's been neck and neck down the stretch, and it's who's going to make a big play to separate themselves.
No power play available. All comes down to what is in your hand. We're down to 5 cards each. We've only seen a couple of shots fired here. What is in reserve? What is still loaded up in the chamber? We're doing all this build up, and you watch, there's going to be this one color they're out of, and we're just going to go into a draw city and draw back to the 15 again.
Seems plausible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seems plausible.
We were this way back in game 1, so, why not bookend it that way?
Oh my! Oh! Oh!
Trips play into green. Leaves it open, however. And Ed answers back!
Wow.
Ice is out with the blue. Well, does he ice out is the question. Yep, he does.
Oh my god.
Wow.
It's been eye for an eye.
It has.
Series. It's been every move has had a response. There's never we've had some ammo heavy wins, right? But we haven't seen anything where the ammo has been the defining story. It's most of the time it's been coming down to control or someone or them having answers for each other. And Ed's going to play a double off that ice play, and that is absolutely massive. And I don't know, does it come down to this point? They're both down to 2.
They're down
as
to
the team top decks a 2.
We talk about timing. Is it just that one preemptive strike? Ed's got the possession. Does he have the close to take this series? No.
Check.
He's at check.
Signs the check.
What about Haseem? I don't think he's
Does
got
he have
blue.
another top deck?
No, he didn't.
Ed for the win?
For the win. Does he have the card necessary?
No.
Well, there we go. We're going to the draw city. Shades of game 1.
Oh, God.
And
this is absurd.
And we talk about that answer back. It's been even answers back, right? A +2 for a +2, a +4 for a +4, a wild for a wild. It's not been, all right, well, you hit me the +4, here's a +2. They've answered back with the even card distribution as well.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, even with the biggest disparity has been the +4s for Haseem, but it really is a testament to how little that has really made a difference, because we're at a game 9. If you're up 4 and +4s, I mean, that can be a big difference maker in some series. But we're even. We're at a winner go home game, and every other category has been pretty damn even. Down to the self draws, the +2 slight advantage for Ed, skips slight advantage to Haseem. Even on the reverses, even on the wilds now at this point. And they've been switching pretty evenly. They both had similar length longest chains.
Gracious.
It's been so even. It is ridiculous.
And Haseem played a blue 3 there, so he's got the possession advantage. That could be important here. We'll see.
And it's series like this that really come down to the point. Like, then you look back at what Lane Pack was last night, and I feel for Lane Sanders. Like, imagine if he had a series like this, it would have been so different. But again, he won a series against Clay with no +4. So I mean, it ultimately that's why like this bot, like it really gives a lot of power to the players to win on skill rather than just what you have. There are still going to be games like that, and again, I think there's a good quote from Stingray at one point this year, like there's so much skill to this league, but ultimately Uno comes down to a game of luck sometimes.
Yep.
And that's what. But also look at all this skill, and I mean we've had some heavy ammo finish from both sides, but they've been playing out of their skin today.
I think 3 of our 8 games have come down to luck in terms of a finish. Other than that,
Yes.
it's come down to skill for the other 5 games.
Yes.
And right now, it's looking like it's building up potentially to a skill-based game here in this rubber match game 9. Important to note, they both ended up top-decking a blue. That was important for Ed because it could have been a 2-possession advantage for his team. He kept it at 1, and now Ed with the light switch going to try and draw it back even. We'll see. There's the advantage back to Haseem.
And here we are again, neck and neck running down the line. Possession arrow goes to Ed. Goodness.
We've drawn back quite a bit, so it can't be a finish just in this color. But what ammo did we get along the way, or did we get any?
I will say, I think whoever wins this is pretty much guaranteed 9th place. I don't see anyone else. I don't see anyone else topping whoever loses this in the results. I don't expect anyone topping 9th place. I don't see anyone else topping this in a 9-game series. This has been absurdly good for both. Like, there really hasn't been any mistake. And I mean, this is our first game 9 of the round, but I don't see anyone else, even if they go 9, I don't see anyone else, topping this.
Haseem with the ditto play, iced out. Ed continues to run in green. Now the possession goes to Haseem, down to 3. And, you talk about that game yesterday, and, it's those kind of games where we talk about, we'll hear players that are frustrated. Light switch here by Ed into yellow. Players frustrated, players disappointed. You have a series like this, there's going to be a tinge of disappointment, but when you go toe-to-toe like this into a game 9, you can't hang your head. I mean, you put everything into this. It's one of those games where you don't want to lose, but you don't mind losing because you know that it just came down to, it came down to the timing. It came down to, maybe just that preemptive play.
Yeah, and no matter who loses this, both their stock is rising.
Oh, for sure.
There's no way either drops too hard after this because they've already gotten 2 wins. Oh my goodness.
Big play here.
Oh,
+2.
He's down to 3.
And draws.
Oh my God,
he draws. Evens it back up.
Does Haseem punish here? Does he punish? Does he throw cards back, or does he play it cool?
Haseem established.
I don't see him doing that because we haven't seen the
blue.
Although I don't think we've seen an open door +2 this series.
We did once in this game, I think.
Did we?
I think Ed did it earlier. I want to say it was in red, but I might be wrong.
Oh yeah, right here. Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
do it
yeah,
right
back
there.
at the 12:44 mark.
Hi, Vapor.
Yeah, we're still going. Oh!
My God!
Oh, what an answer back! Oh my gosh!
What?
Oh my gosh!
Hello? What?
What the heck?
What?
Door was left open. Haseem says, "Thank you very much." Trips
well, it
plus
wouldn't matter.
2
We were
to
still
close.
on blue regardless.
No,
we were
true.
still on blue, and he had all these. Good God Almighty!
Well, at least one had to be off the +2, maybe 2 of them.
What?
I gotta ask Haseem. I mean, first off, congratulations
Jesus
advancing
Christ.
into the Epic 8. crazy series. What was the return on the +2? Was it 2 +2s, or was it 1 +2 and you had the other 2 in reserve? You mentioned it, Short, the
Lord.
patience. You mentioned the patience. Does he punish right away or does he wait? Obviously, he didn't have to wait,
Whoa.
but he had to have been holding on to at least one of those +2s for some time here.
Had to have been. There's no doubt. He had to have been.
He had the blue +2 and the green +2.
Oh.
He was given the red
Ah.
+2. So he was given the red +2
Jesus.
and the red 4 to close it out. So hold on. So he would have ended out the game at check with 2 +2s, but he needed it. Oh, it was in yellow. He needed it over to green or to blue.
That had to have been the most stacked run I've seen in the entire series too.
Wow.
Like we haven't had a more ammo heavy, like all those +2s. We haven't seen that.
That's crazy. And look what Leah says. If you told me that Art, Mac, and Acosta would make the
I
league in
know.
this tourney. Oh my goodness. Wow.
And again, it goes back to our topic of parity, right, Seth? We haven't seen, we're seeing all the, I think last tournament, the theme was the cream was rising to the top, right? We were seeing all these, big names, names that have gotten wins early on in the season, keep finding success, but now we're starting to see some people show up later on in the year and really make serious noise. And once again, we see another double-digit seed move on, and a lower double seed at that in Haseem. Just absurd.
Said it was actually the blue +2, but it was been the same scenario. We would still been on yellow, so he wouldn't have had a finish with the +2s. Ed, hard-fought series, gave it your all, drew it back to a game 9, went down 4-2. Definitely nothing to be ashamed of, but obviously hindsight is 2020. If we go back, you don't know that he's iced out in yellow. You make the decision to play the +2, leave it open there with the draw. I mean, we saw you do it earlier as well with the +2 in red into the draw. Was it a defensive play right there? Just trying to hope that maybe you could end up establishing the possession again here? Because you guys were back and forth and who had the one-card advantage.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know that he was weak on that yellow. I would have played my last yellow there if I knew that. But yeah, ultimately there he got those. He got 2 good cards off the +2, which I was definitely not anticipating. So. Yeah, I mean, good game. It was very even played. It was a lot of fun, and all I can say is congrats.
Even played
Man.
for sure. Gracious.
Yeah, so I'll report this as well. Across both divisions, this was the 7th longest game, 7th longest series at 157.06. This is there are 2 D2 games in this, but if you're talking strictly about D1 history, this is the 5th longest.
Wow. And it was established right out of the gate with that over 24 minutes.
That's not even a stat can.
Game 1.
It all came down to the draws.
Yeah.
It came down to the draws.
Yep. Look at that.
It's been playing that I don't think we've really seen maybe playing a one time 8.5 like I said before. This has just been a testament to how great these guys have done at adapting to the situation. And they both had responses for each other all day. And they've been adapting back and forth the whole way. And that entire end, look at that hand. That's a testament to it.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, we saw a little bit of everything here in this series for sure. No surprise it went into a game 9. Couple of gladiators here on an early 10 a.m. start on this Monday. And we've got another 7-14 matchup coming up later on here this afternoon. Here's your updated graphic for the bracket. Haseem Acosta moving on. He awaits the winner of Albion to Pure. That gets determined at 10 in the morning this coming Wednesday to see who he'll face in the Epic 8. And we mentioned it later on here today. Will we be in for another 9-game series is in the popcorn region. It is Peter taking on Gold, another 7-14 seed matchup, as Haseem takes this one in a 5-4 thriller. I don't know what else there is to say, Short. I mean, I think that this series speaks for itself. I think that people, if they missed out on this, they got to go back and watch this series, because this may be the series. I wouldn't necessarily say of all movie May, but at least for the Sci-Fi 16, this right now is contender for series of this particular round of 16. I mean, gracious.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us for this endurance battle here today. Congratulations to Haseem Acosta. He is moving on to the Epic 8. We'll see you guys later on here this afternoon at 5 for Peter versus Gold. For myself and Short, for our players Ed and Haseem, thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you guys later on this afternoon as we continue on the Sci-Fi 16 for Movie May here in T3 of the 2025 MRE Uno Tournament. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you guys later on at 5.
This has been a presentation of MRE Uno Division 1.